Okay, looks like everything is going proper. How's it going, man?
Hello, and happy Saturday night, man.
Yeah, happy Saturday. Another week, another show. Uh, yeah, 86, 86 episodes so
Crazy.
far.
Do-
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like more than 82.
In some days it doesn't, yeah.
No, dude, it's great. I'm glad. I love the show, dude. I love it. It should have blown up by now. You should have 100,000 subs. I don't know what's going on with the YouTube algorithm. They're screwing you, man.
I don't care. Always appreciative of anybody that watches and listens. That's the satisfying aspect of it. Uh,
I know, and I was disappointed because I sent you that on Discord. I sent you that. I'm like, oh, look at this trailer for Good Boy,
yeah,
thinking in
yeah.
my brain because I watched the trailer and I thought I go, this looks like they really like went they took the script we read about the dog watching the serial killer, cranked it up to an 11, right? Turned it into like almost a Saw movie or something. And then that's not the case though, huh? Because I was hoping we had another script that we've read on the show that got produced, but that is not the case, right?
No, it's a similar concept, just a story through the perspective of a dog. But Good Boy is a supernatural thriller I see from the trailer, and Bad Dog, which is the script that we read, that is contained kind of a serial killer story. So one, I mean, I've definitely got some overlapping of themes. Those types of things do happen in the industry. Whatever was
Yeah,
circling around the time when those scripts were both being written.
Armageddon and Deep Impact. Remember when those two first they came out together? Like
Yep.
this happens a lot in Hollywood.
It really does. Well, that one had more to do with the fact that the guy who was at one studio quit and went to another studio and just said, these are the types of movies that they're working on here, so let's do our own versions of that.
Oh, that happened? Are you
Yeah.
serious? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Katzenberg was the guy that
Oh
did
wow.
that.
Okay. That's
But
funny.
another area is sometimes, like, this is the one thing, this is what makes me kind of appreciate that I don't, like, continuously live in LA is I don't read all the same articles and things that are in the atmosphere, excuse me, as all the other writers. So I'm never hitting on the same ideas as them, or rarely am I ever hitting on the same ideas. But in this case here, it seems like somebody read or overheard something about a story taken through the perspective of a dog, and two writers took that concept into two different directions. And so we have Bad Dog and Good Boy. Good Boy is the one that's going to be hitting theaters pretty soon. I don't think Bad Dog is going to be in production anytime soon, but if it is, that'll be pretty cool because we enjoyed that script. That was a good one.
I loved that script. If you want more of a psychological thriller that's not supernatural, then that's the one we want is Bad Dog.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, when I saw because even the clips on Good Boy where it kind of showed him like growing up with the dog and stuff, I thought, or the dog growing up with the guy with the tattoos and stuff. I thought, is this our guy? And they just, because it's not uncommon for them to change scripts quite a bit from what we see to what we get. But anyway, cool. Sort of got on a sidetrack there, but
well, no,
yeah,
I mean
scripts on
that's
Saturdays. Here we are.
no, that's the fun aspect is that the audience listening to this show, whether it's the current episodes or if they go back to listen to the other ones, they can see like some of the similarities, some of the cool takes for things. Like one of the things I liked about Bad Dog is that we start from the dog's perspective right at the beginning when he was newly adopted by the antagonist character of sorts.
Right.
Whereas Good Boy, it seems like there's a little bit more lengthiness between the dog and the owner before it gets into the supernatural stuff. So that's, I mean, still a different take, but I'm looking forward to it. And the other one that's in production right now, I don't know if it's actually started filming yet, but I'm pretty sure they're getting the cast ready. Is from that one script the show reviewed where we have a body swap between the husband and wife, and the wife, when she gets into her husband's body, just gets super power hungry and super abusive. And Robert Pattinson signed on to that one. So
That is happening then.
so that is most likely going to happen. So we'll see if they're able to get to rolling camera and getting that out there, because that that could be a really twisted that was a really twisted script. So I think it could be fun for your horror body swapping audience that likes those types of weird stories.
Oh, while we're just talking about movies, this is not a script that we read, but it's a book that I read this year, which was Stephen King's The Long Walk. Did you see the trailer for that? That they're doing
Yeah.
that?
Oh, dude, I read The Long Walk when I shouldn't have. I was too young.
Oh, so dark. It's so dark, dude. It's
Yeah.
still fresh in my mind. And so I saw that trailer and I'm like, really? You know, when you read an old book and then you see a trailer for it within like 4 or 5 months, it's like, what are the odds, right? I just barely read this old book and now they're making a movie. I'm like, I don't want to see it on. After reading the book, I don't want to see the movie. I'm like, no thanks, I'm good. But they're doing it. They're doing it, man.
They're doing it.
You better have a strong stomach for this because this is a movie that the title really does say it all. There's nothing else to it. It is a long walk with starts out with 100 boys walking together.
Well, yep.
And then the last one walking. The last one walking wins. I can't remember. Do they get a pick? They kind of get a pick, right? Like a smorgasbord of what they want, like money or a house and all this different stuff. Basically, they win the lottery. Basically,
It's a lottery of sorts. It's you walk continuously, and you can only take a break for so long before you have to start walking again. If you take it too long, you are, let's just say, pulled out.
Yeah, you get your ticket punched. You're being followed by soldiers in a jeep, and then you have 3 warnings, so you have like 30 seconds to stop, and then they're watching you, right? So it's there's this whole thing, like everyone has their strategy, and you have all these different boys. It's all boys, and they have to pick what they wear and stuff. They show up anyway. It's gonna be if you're okay with dark stuff, I'd say read the book. If you don't like dark stuff, then don't. But I was kind of on the fence. I started reading it. I read it. It's interesting how Stephen King can make something like that still entertaining, right? It's just because it seems like that's kind of boring. You're just following these people. But
It's
watch
because
the
he puts
trailer.
in stakes.
Check out the trailer.
There's stakes. There's things that the characters want when they hit that part. Now, one of the things that I get excited for when it comes to a Stephen King adaptation is that in most cases the ending is better in the movie than it is in the book. So,
you mean like a happier ending or a more fulfilling ending?
More fulfilling ending usually. Not always happier, but more fulfilling ending.
Right.
Because Stephen King's notorious for having great concepts and great everything up, and it just not really sticking the landing so well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. I mean, I enjoyed The Long Walk a lot, especially as I got older and understood it more.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's a pretty cool one that I'm looking forward to. I have friends that have been looking forward to a movie of this for decades. So
wow,
the fact that
it's gonna
we're
be
getting it
it's
this
gonna be interesting, yeah.
pretty soon is cool. And same thing with Project Hail Mary. That looks fantastic. So
I can't wait. But anyone out there, please read the book before you watch the movie because you've got to have it in your own imagination. It's like the Lord of the Rings, right? Like as good as Peter Jackson's were, I'm so glad that I read the books before I saw the movies because it's hard to unsee their version of things versus if you just let your imagination do it. Project Hail Mary, man. Oh my God. One of the best books I've ever read. It's in my top 3. It's like right up there with Ender's Game. And Lord of the Rings, of course, is one of my favorites. But yeah, so good. I'm excited, man. I think the casting's good. The trailer looks pretty good, I think. It's funny because I watched the trailer, and usually on trailers when they do quick cuts, you're like, what was that explosion? What was this thing right there? What was that? And like when I watched it, I'm like, because it was all fresh in my head, I knew every single quick cut. I'm like, I know what that was. I know what that was. I know what that was. So I can't wait. And I love Ryan Gosling. So I think he's a good fit for this part. And I think the supporting cast looks really good too. Because if it's anything like the book, 95% of this film is going to be Ryan by himself until he meets it's no spoiler, it's in the trailer, but he meets an alien.
Yeah, until he meets Rocky.
Yeah, and Rocky is amazing. And if they end it the same way the book ending, and they don't screw up the ending on, speaking of endings, right? If they end it like beat for beat like the book, dude, this movie is going to be freaking huge. It's going to be so good.
Oh, it's going to be better than 2001. I mean, that's
dude, it's so it's better than like as good as The Martian was. That's like an appetizer for Project Hail Mary. Like I've told so many people about. I was at the museum. We did a late night thing, like a private showing of the museum here when they changed to the new stuff here in this town I live in, right? Not a huge town, and so every like 6 months or a year they change it. We went over there, and it was like a closed night with all these people that my girlfriend works with, and I ended up like talking to this one guy. They have all these cool things, and somehow it kind of came up, and And I think I just finished the book within a couple weeks of that, and I just brought it up. I said, "Hey, have you you like to read?" He's like, "Yeah." Have you read Project Hail Mary? Anyway, random dude I just met. I'm like selling him on this book, right? I'm like, "You got to read this book," and I just don't do that. Like, I'll talk to people, but something like that I, it's just weird. It's just rare that I would push something, but it's so good. It's so good, and so I'll do it here for sure because this is a better place for it. But yeah, if I'm gonna randomly talk to people at a museum about it, like, please do yourself a favor. Read Project Hail Mary. It is incredible. It's hard to put it down. It's one of those books. It's not just a good book. Yeah.
If it was a little bit slimmer, I would have been able to do it in one sitting. But but it's a good book. So, yeah, strongly recommend checking that out. Fortunately, everybody out there, you've got plenty of time to read it before the movie comes out.
Yeah, when is release? Isn't it next year?
Early next year, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, with that being said, we do have another sort of sci-fi story to talk about with tonight's script. So without further ado, welcome to Scripts on Saturdays, the only screenplay review show on the interwebs discussing scripts both professional and amateur, circulating around Hollywood, giving you, the TV and movie-going audience, a behind-the-scenes and inside track on what writers are pushing and what producers are buying. I am your host, the Script Doctor, and joining me this week is TJ Mack of Mac Media. Glad to have you here for this one, especially talking some sci-fi. How's it going? How are you finding this week's script? Just in a quick summary, without spoiling the verdict.
In a quick summary, I would say what we're talking about in the green room. I have a hard time. It's the first script of all these of the dozens that I've read. I haven't read them all every week. I'm not going to lie to you, but of all the ones that I've read, this is the one that I really have a hard time like taking his side on. I'm like, I like it. I love it. I don't hate it. I mean, it's definitely in the positive spectrum, right? Like, I like this. My biggest complaint, like I told you, is just the ending. I'm kind of like, I don't know about that, but I think it's a great script. I'm excited to talk about it tonight. I think that the concept is somewhat unique. Of course, it pulls from a lot of other things, like everything does anymore. There's just too much. There's too much content at this point in humanity to be 100% completely like creative on your own, independent. You just can't. You got to pull from everything else because you can't unsee and unhear from all these other things that you see and do. And tonight's script is basically Stepford Housewives meets like Bicentennial Man meets like what's a good nanny movie? I can't think of one right now, but
I don't know, Mrs. Doubtfire.
yeah, but there you go. Another Robin Williams movie, Mrs. Doubtfire.
There you go.
But Bicentennial Man kind of was that anyway. Wasn't that his whole? It's been so long since I saw that movie. But his whole point of being a robot was there to help around the house, right, and with the kids and stuff.
Yes, pretty much. So this week's script is called AIDa. It came in 32nd place on the 2024 Blacklist with 14 votes, and it was written by Alexis Jacknow. TJ, share with us the log line for AIDa.
All right, log line is a new mother finds the perfect nanny in AI, only to learn that a perfect caregiver might be the most dangerous kind of all. This psychological thriller examines the disparity between human nature versus AI nurture and asks the question, could AI ever replace us as parents?
That's right, and the synopsis goes as such. Erin, a new mom haunted by exhaustion, wrestles with the use of a robotic nanny. As her husband Noah urges its use to ease her post-birth struggles, Erin relents when trying to take care of her son and herself proves to be too difficult. Initially repelled by its cold efficiency, Erin reluctantly accepts AIDa to manage nights only to sense it pulling her from her son. Her relief turns to regret as the bond with her baby slips, leaving her torn. Will she reclaim her role as a mother, or is AIDa's grip too strong? So there was a movie that came out, I think, last year that had Megan Fox as a nanny. And it was a very silly movie because why in any mind would you make a nanny look like Megan Fox? And then on top of that, why would you give it such specific human-looking anatomy, fully functional too? At the same time, and what I appreciated about this script is much like what the thumbnail is a description of what this AIDa looks like when you open the box. It's not human looking. I mean, it's in this as other than a silhouette form, and it doesn't appear to have genitals, like the Megan Fox one has.
Yeah, and it's monochrome in color. Like it's
Yeah.
very plain. It's a blank slate basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's a blank slate. It does have a little bit of a face in it, so it can communicate and connect with people. But yeah, this script has a pretty it has a strong opening in the psyche of our main character Erin, because it's her. She's out on the terrace of her home. She's holding her son in her arms, and she's on the phone trying to get in contact with someone because there's a wolf on the property, and she senses that the wolf wants her kid, and she's saying to the wolf that you can't have my child. Like, I'm protecting my child. And while she's on the phone, she's trying to get past the automated message, which is a very relatable thing these days. You just want to talk to a human being to explain the situation, hopefully get a solution. But sometimes you go in circles because the voice recognition program saying, like, please tell me what you need, and then you say the situation and they just don't recognize it, so you got to get more vague in the hopes that you get to a menu where you can select, please get me to a human operator. And
hit 0 and pound. That used to work for a long time, but
and then companies disabled that. I remember reading a memo about that. It's like, we're no longer allowing the 0 to get to an operator yet. We want all our customers to go through the automated thing first, to not tie up all the human people. It's like, that's not going to work, man.
Or like what Google has always done, which is they have no customer service number. You just try to email people and pray for the best, right? Like,
and that's horrible.
For so long.
Yeah.
but yeah, so we can all relate, which I really did like this open. It was strong. We just have a black screen, and we start with audio, which I'm a huge audio person because of my background. Mm-hmm. And we just hear this wolf or this dog growling, right? Like that's the very first introduction to this film. So it's like instantly you're like, okay, here's our tone, right? Our tone is set. We've got this ominous thing going. And so she has this dream, and she's just stuck talking to a robot, which of course is foreshadowing for this whole story, what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I like the opening. What did you think?
I thought it was good because it showed that she has this predilection for human connection and this disdain for automation. And it's a nightmare because when the wolf appears on the terrace with her and her child, and then it lunges at her, she wakes up in a hot sweat, and she's going into labor. We find out that she's 9 months pregnant, and her husband is next to her, and it's a difficult birth because we find out that the child is arriving 3 weeks early.
Yep.
And
we jump right into that out of this dream. Like they're off there. We do a montage kind of at the hospital, but so the first 10 pages of the script go very quickly with her getting through the hospital, and then
and showcasing the setting of this world, because it's definitely a couple decades in the future. There's driverless cars that people own. And
we see the equipment at the hospital. We can tell it's futuristic, the way it's described and stuff. So I'd say we're within 20 years of wherever we are now.
And there's still robots of sorts in between the human stuff. So when we get to the hospital, there's a robot check-in person, and then we get into the actual nurses and the doctors themselves. And even with the doctors, they're a little cold in the way that they talk to Erin, and we find out there's some early complications at birth. The child is upside down and pushing against her spine, and they have to use they have to use the little vacuum thing that some hospitals require when a woman is having difficulty pushing the child out on her own. They have a mechanical assistance, which is funny because I know a lot of my friends that were told that they need to use the vacuum basically would respond with the same phrase: "You're not going to suck my child out of me."
Jeez.
And then they would push through it, and the kid would be born. But it's something that I've noticed over the last 8 to 9 years has been frequently required, because all of my friends that have had kids, a number of them, far too many to count, have all said yep, they had a situation where uh, the kid wasn't being born fast enough, and the doctor offered, "Do you want us to use the vacuum extractor?" And it's like that's funny. I mean, we didn't have that, 40 years ago, let alone, 1,000 years ago yet. Many kids were born, but of course, mortality rate was much higher back then than it is today. So, uh, yeah, but it's a birth. She's happy. She's connecting with her kid.
Let's do introduction. So this is our protagonist. Erin is her name. Is
Yep.
the mother. Her husband is Noah. They're both lawyers. They're well-to-do lawyers. Given by we see their house and how they're living, and they have money, right? So yeah, and then what was the boy's name? Is it Shiloh?
Shiloh, yeah.
Is the baby boy. So there's our three people. So far, that's how big our world is. The one thing about this script you'll see is we don't have a lot of people to keep track of, which I kind of like, especially in a setting like this. Like, it's good. We don't need a bunch of people confusing us on who's where and when. We've had scripts that we've gone over before that way, where you're just like, wait, there's just way too many people.
Yeah.
This is not that kind of script. This is a tight, small script of just a couple of locations, easy to film. And fun. I like anything sci-fi. So far, yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving it. It's good. And we get through all this stuff. I think that this writer kind of goes into a little too much detail on a few of the more like personal things with the mom. But that's, you can shoot around that. It depends on what you want to do. I feel like in cinema and even in television, I think we've crossed the line of like getting too personal. Like, the camera doesn't need to be. I don't need to see someone wiping their ass on a TV show, right? I don't need to see that. It doesn't.
I don't think it's gotten that close yet. But
we're getting a lot of toilet shots where people are doing their business with their pants down on toilets and stuff. And have you seen the first episode of Peacemaker this season?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No thanks. We've crossed way too many lines on stuff, dude. So that's I think the opening scene or opening episode of, was it season 3 of The Boys with the giant, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh God, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's for a show that's specifically trying to shock you out of desperation.
But I'm just saying I'm not saying let's go back to the Brady Bunch where mom and dad slept in different beds. No, I'm just saying we need to come back. We've gone too far. And I feel like this script does that a few times, and we can talk about that when they come up. But
there's some stuff when it comes to like breast milk, but I mean the
No. That's fine.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we learned really quickly after Erin, the birth was rough and there's a lot of tearing, and so it's going to be many months of recovery for her. She can't walk too well, so she's already a few steps back from being the type of mother that she wants to be. And when we next see her, she is in the nursery and she's on her hands and knees freaking out that there's not enough outlets in the nursery to accommodate all the things that they need to plug in. So she thought she was prepared, and she realizes there's more because and she's not blaming anything, but she realizes that because the kid came 3 weeks early and she was taking that 3 weeks for granted. And Noah's just thinking like, it's no big deal. I'll get a power bar, an extension cord, and something, and we'll get it all sorted out. Like that, we have the purifier, the monitor, the sound machine, like all the technology that's there to try and nurture a kid, which I think is ironic because it's mostly about the parents that are there to nurture the kid, but there's other stuff there, especially like new mothers are very terrified of SIDS, like sudden infant death syndrome. So they will put their kid down, watch them for a little bit, and then deliberately wake them up to make sure that they didn't choke or stop breathing.
Because you're very worried. I've never had a child, but definitely I've had friends who have expressed that to me too. They're like, yeah, we're so scared for like the first several weeks, especially if it's your first child.
I had to teach them the mirror trick, which is the best one. You just hold a mirror up to the nose, and if it fogs up, you're good. And if it doesn't, that's when you wake the kid up. Just let it sleep.
Yeah, well, I heard if you're really paranoid, I don't know if this is a thing yet. You need to look it up. I heard about this a couple years ago, and I think it was on Engadget, was one of the articles. And there was one of the colleges had successfully used Wi-Fi to detect heartbeats in a separate room from where they were recording everything. And they had a way to do that. And I don't remember the details, but go look it up. It was a thing. And I blew my mind. I'm like, wait, they could do that? So there you go. Moms would love that. New mothers would love that. But right here in the script, I want to hit this real quick because this is important later. Erin was talking about how they should get blackout blinds for the windows.
Right.
And she says because there's a window across the street in the house, in the upper floor of the house across the street. And she says that light goes on and off all night.
Yeah.
And it's a very in passing moment, but it'll come back later. And Noah's like, yeah, well, there's just another one of the other things for them to worry about as new parents to do this stuff. And we quickly learn that Noah is actually going to have to leave. His job as a lawyer, he's some international lawyer. He's got to go. He's going to Japan, right, for this trip. So he's going to be leaving pretty soon. So despite her just having the baby, I'm kind of wondering if maybe he was hoping this trip would be there and he'd be back before the birth. Right?
I think that was the initial plan, because that's what it feels like.
Right.
He's gone for 3 weeks, and then he comes back, and I think the plan is he comes back, he's there for the birth, and then the way that they describe it afterwards is he's only back for a couple days, and he's gone for another week, and then he's back. So he travels a lot.
But the whole point is, as a writer, you're putting more pressure on your protagonist by
Yes.
having the husband gone, right? So that's the whole point. And so that's what's going on here. So we see, on top of this, so we're beating the crap out of our protagonist, which is what you want to do, physically, mentally, all the stuff we see. And the mental part of it, really, wouldn't you agree that's the underlying message of this whole script, is the mental game of should I or can I be a good mother? Or how do I be a good mother? Like, how would you phrase it?
It's the doubt. It's the overwhelming understanding that you are now responsible for a child that has no frame of reference, no experience, no understanding, no ability to properly communicate. They are ostensibly a blank slate, and they don't even understand what's going on with their own bodies. So anytime they experience something new, their instinctual reaction is usually to like wail, and you as a parent have to figure out what that wail means. What that crying, what that action means. And for Erin, she feels very lost. Despite all the prep that she claims to have done, she still feels overwhelmed. They do have a housekeeper that's a family friend. Her name is Tanya, and
Anya, yeah.
she has 3 kids and like 6 grandkids, and she knows how to raise a kid, and she's got some good advice, and she's doing everything to encourage and help Erin, but she's not there all the time. And
another detail. Sorry to interrupt. Another detail. Erin, they had just moved. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah,
either,
this
which
is a
makes
new
it even
home
harder
for them all.
Erin.
Yeah.
So yeah, they moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, basically, is what it sounds like. And so they're way out of their element. They're in this new house. They're still unboxing everything. So all of that has happened. So we've got this. All of this stuff is on top of, is putting pressure on our protagonist. To the point that Noah, at this point in the script, he brings up, hey, I met the neighbor, right? I talked to her because she has a 3-month-old. She's a new mom too. Mm-hmm. And so keep an eye out because I talked to her a little bit about you and your, and about the, we've got a baby coming. So because that kind of opens up the door because she does need a friend. She definitely needs a friend, right?
Yeah, she has. I mean, they moved to the East Coast, from the East Coast to the West Coast. They were lucky enough to know Tanya. They haven't even finished unpacking their homes yet. The reason they moved to the West Coast is so that when Noah flies to Japan, it's a shorter flight for him by about 5 hours, which goes a long way. So yeah, they have like no real foundation in the same way had they stayed on the East Coast. But she's still able, like she's on maternity leave. The plan is for her to stay, take the full 6 months. Get everything all situated, find a new rhythm, and then she can go back to work while her and Noah kind of do that. That's the goal that they've agreed to. And Erin is having some apprehensions where she feels like she wants to kind of get back to work earlier, and that ties into her doubts as being a mom, because every time she's so weak from the birth, she has difficulty being able to hold her own son, which is killing her inside. You can't touch, you can't hold your child to your chest, your child a hug and an embrace. And as a mom, sometimes you got to hold the kid and then use your free hand to pick up and move other things around to, help with the kid. and she
Yeah, moms
can't do
get
that.
moms get buff, dude. They get super buff from holding their kids for a long time.
They do when they're able to properly stand for more than a couple minutes at a time, which Aaron
Right.
can't because of
Can't.
the amount of like she had some severe damage giving birth.
She can barely sit for very long. She can barely walk up the stairs. Like, oh my gosh, the way it's described is, like the stairs look like Mount Everest to her when she got home. And so yeah, she's going through all this. I'm on page 8 of the script, and this is where she meets the neighbor. She goes across the street.
Yeah, and
Or
the
sees her
neighbor
out there
is
walking.
jogging with the stroller. Aaron is shocked at how fit she is. The neighbor's name is Margot, and she makes a joke like, "Yeah, of course I'm fit. Breastfeeding, the weight just comes right off when you do it."
Yeah, it makes it sound so easy.
and Aaron is really intimidated. She remarks like, "Oh yeah, I hear they say you're only supposed to gain like between 25 and 30 pounds, and she gained 40," so she feels guilty and embarrassed.
And then Margot, I love how this was written. Margot just looks at her plaintively.
Yeah.
So like when she said that about her own weight, Margot just stared at her.
Yeah.
like awkward, right? It doesn't go well. So it ends up Erin just kind of is like she's trying to break the ice and start a friendship here, and Margot's just pretty she's fine, right? But in the end she ends up kind of being aloof, right? She's like, eh.
Yeah.
And I think she just awkwardly walks away at the end. Isn't that how that's how I remember this whole exchange ending.
Well, she talks about how she has an AIDa, and then this is where we get to introduce the idea of the robotic nanny. And Erin's apprehensive because she's like, well, they're not human, they're things, but Margot is saying like, well, she works nights for me, so I get my full rest, and it's good, and of course Erin just says like, she tries to talk around how that's not really motherhood, but doesn't quite finish it, gets all awkward, and then Margot just kind of leaves, and for the rest of the first and second act, Margot essentially snubs Aaron.
And it's harsh. Okay, here it is. I found it. Page 10. So Erin says, should we exchange? And she's going to finish saying numbers, right? Should we exchange numbers?
Yeah.
And she doesn't even get a finish. She just says, should we exchange? And then Margot responds, well, I better get Lena in. And then just turns around and walks off. Like that's the end of their conversation. It's like, oh, geez. Okay. Nice to meet. And then that's all she says as she's walking away. And that's the end of it. So yeah, it doesn't end well. She doesn't really make a friend, even though she really needed one. And on top of that, she's like she feels like crap because she sees this woman who's had her baby for 3 months. She's lost all of her weight. She's super fit now, looking great. And she basically, from here on, she sees her out there doing that every morning, like a perfect routine. But yeah, it opened up the door for our first kind of like peek into what these AIDa units do and how they can help, especially a new mother. So, I always wondered, like, they don't get too much in the script. How long does the AIDa stay around? They never talk about it. Like, is this something you have until the kids go to school? Is it 6 years, 8 years?
Yeah,
is it forever?
they don't tell us.
You just always have them there. Like, you know what I mean?
It feels like it's forever thing because, the Noah even argues, like, with a nanny, you got to pay all the time. With an AIDa, you buy it once and it's amortized over years.
Yes, and it pays for itself very quickly.
It pays for itself very quickly. So, yeah, I think this is basically, it starts out as a nanny, and then eventually it becomes like the housekeeper.
Yeah, it becomes Alice on the
Alice or Rosie from the Jetsons,
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. So next we have Noah basically says goodbye, right? He's gonna leave, and
no, well, not yet.
No, you're right.
They're going through options. So Noah buys
talk about AIDa, right?
the AIDa, and he's at work, but he hasn't left for his trip yet. And they open. It's Tanya is there, the 60-year-old housekeeper that helps out, and she's great with kids. And Aaron feels
she's a good character.
and Aaron feels very doubtful, but Tanya is constantly encouraging her. It's like, no, you don't understand. Like you may not be able to lift him now, but you're a mother. You can lift a car like that. Like she's giving her all this encouragement. The AIDa box shows up. They open it up, and there's this really like silicon-looking robot that immediately activates and freaks out both Aaron and Tanya, and Aaron just commands it to shut off right away, and it does. And Aaron just says, "No, we can't use this thing. We need to get like a human being. Like they don't have They don't have a soul. They're all algorithms and they're all statistics. There's nothing great about them. And even Tanya says, like, yeah, my grandson is a programmer. He says not to trust these things. And so Noah says, okay, fine, we will start interviewing nannies to help out. And we get a montage of them going through nannies, which this is very similar to the Mrs. Doubtfire part, where, I only work 1 day a week. It's like, well, what use are you? You've got.
Yeah, they do a collage of interviewing nannies, and
they do a collage of interviewing nannies. They also talk about how, like, Tanya, she's cleaning some stuff, and Aaron is like, "Oh, are you using the organic thing?" And Tanya's like, "No, that doesn't work. So I have this one thing that's strong enough to clean Chernobyl." And Aaron's like, "Well, with the baby."
Oh yeah, because she spilled wine downstairs, right? She's got to clean that up. Yeah,
and she's worried about, like, the baby, and Tanya's like, "Listen, I've had kids; they're fine. It's not going to do anything. You keep it away from kids; it's good." And so Aaron is a little apprehensive on that. She's definitely read a lot of material that tells you how to raise a kid without kind of connecting with what's the most important aspects of raising a kid. So they even talk about, like, the dryer sheets thing, which is new to me. Like, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, me too. What the heck is that?
What, you can't use a dryer sheet on your clothes and then take the dryer sheet out, throw it away, and then dress your kid? Like, what's in the dryer sheet that we don't know about today, people?
Or do they grab it and choke on it? Is that what it is? Like, I didn't understand that either. I'm like, what is the deal with the dryer sheets? I didn't even take the time to look that up. But apparently, dryer sheets are bad for babies.
Apparently,
we stopped using dryer sheets like a couple years ago. I started using those Woolies. Have you heard of those? They're just cotton. They're like these size of a tennis ball, and they're just pure wool. And they take all the static out of all your clothes. And then if you want your clothes to smell good, you can put different, like, smelling things on the Woolies themselves before you toss them in. So I have these citrus ones to make it smell good. But yeah, we started doing that because I started getting, like, the detergents were starting to affect me, man, make me itch a lot. I've never had a problem until, like, a couple years ago. And we switched to Woolies, and man, I love those things. Like, they eat all the static. You can use them for a long time, like 1,000 loads or something. And you don't have to worry about dryer sheets all the time, throwing them away and crap. So
see, I've never had a static issue with my clothes when I pull them out of the dryer. There's no static on mine. So, like, and I don't use never, and I don't use dryer sheets.
How is that possible, man? That's crazy.
I don't know. I use, like, a liquid detergent. I do a double rinse, and everything's all good. And yeah, even my girlfriend, she was shocked when I do like, she came to my place and we did laundry, and she was, of course, criticizing the way I do things, and then she beats me to the dryer to kind of, like, say, see, this is what it is, and then she pulls out her sweaters and her pants, and it's, like, normal for me, and she's like, well, wait a minute, this isn't right. Why am I not getting electric shocked or anything? And it's like, I don't know. Like, why did you before? Were you washing your clothes with batteries? Like...
Yeah, that's impressive because, yeah, I've lived all over the place, and I've always had a problem with static, whether I was in the deep south or whether I was in the northwest. Like, I get static.
Like, when I was a kid, laundry at my parents' place, yeah, there would be, static clothes, but I don't know. I got when I got my own washer and dryer for my home, and I did the installation with my buddies, who's a plumber and electrician, and yeah, we were good. No problems for me.
Are all your clothes made out of leather? Do you dress like a cowboy from 1820?
No, I don't have any leather.
I want to clarify cowboy, not like a biker. But
the closest leather, the most leather I have is, like, shoes and belt.
Well, anyway, yeah. So I'm glad it was new for you with the dryer sheet thing. I'm like, okay, whatever, but moved on because there's always something, right? There's always something. I just learned from my neighbor that there's this whole, like, lawsuit against Oral-B right now because of their Glide floss, because I guess it's been tied to the, what are they called, PPFs or whatever, the microplastics and stuff that can infect you and cause cancers and stuff. And I was like, this is a thing? He's like, I thought he was joking. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I've been using Glide floss. I love it because it's so easy to floss with. I've been using that for like 15 years. So I'm like, oh, great. Hopefully I didn't, there's always something, right? We're all we can't do anything anymore. We can't have nice things. But anyway, so back to the script.
So yeah, we're doing the montage of all these nannies. We've got, like, people in their 20s, their 40s, their 60s. They're all terrible. And then one shows up, and this is a nanny that's from Noah's office. Like, his boss used this nanny.
Yeah, he said the COO used this for 2 of their kids. Used this nanny for 2 of their children.
Yeah, and her name is Helen, and she walks in, and she's like an old lady, gray hair, kind eyes, and she's talking to Aaron and Noah, and when the baby starts to stir up, she says, "Do you want me to help?" And Aaron's like, "Okay, sure." And Helen just coos the kid, and everything is all great, and Aaron is fantastic. And she says, "Can we hire you?" She's like, "I'm sorry, I'm still employed with the COO. I'm an AIDa bot, and this is why we're really good at what we do."
Yeah, so she basically like tricks the Aaron
Yep.
into being like so impressed, and then in the end, talk about burying the lead, is like, oh, by the way, I'm an AIDa, or I think maybe even Noah broke it. Whatever, she finds out it's that Helen's an AIDa.
Yeah.
And so then suddenly she's like, "What?" And then she learns a little bit more about how they can change. You can customize how they look and stuff. But yeah, blew her mind that of all the nannies that sucked, bam, the one that she really likes, it turns out is like is an actual AIDa, which is, she's got a brand new one sitting in a box. So I thought this was all very well written. This is great. It's believable. She's really resisting this AIDa bot, right? She's like, "No, I don't want to do this. I want her human." And then, ironically, of all the humans she interviews, the most human one that she thought was human wasn't another
Right.
AIDa bot. So I liked it. I thought it was it moves the plot forward. It builds more into the character of our protagonist, and it wasn't wasted script. So I'm on board still on the script at this point. I love it.
So even despite all this, Aaron is still resistant, and Noah says, "Okay, fine, I'll call the company. They'll come pick it up on Tuesday." We'll figure something out when I come back from my trip, which it's a 3-week trip. And so Noah leaves, and Aaron is on her own with, Tanya visiting here and there. And we go into another montage where Aaron is changing diapers. She's waking up drenched in sweat. She can't go to the washroom by herself without the kid saying something. She can't take a shower without the kid interrupting her. She is withering away, and even with Tanya there to help on occasion, it's not working. And then, of course, from across the street, you've got the light on Margot's home goes on and off a couple of times, and then she sees Margot going out in the street with the stroller, like life is perfect, and Aaron is at the window, just completely like she's eating cereal straight out of the box, trying to get her son Shiloh to latch on and breastfeed, and then Shiloh has soiled himself right while she's holding on to him, and she feels utterly defeated. And what's tempting her is the box with the AIDa in her living room, right there, and she decides to activate it for and get a little bit of help.
Yeah, and the writer kind of does this again. It's a montage, which I'm okay with montages, and if it's okay, script, let's hit these beats. Let's hit these as they kind of, because this all builds up to her finally breaking down and being like, "Fine, I'm gonna ask for help." Right? That's because yes, it's an AIDa, but really this is about her being willing to ask for help.
Yeah.
And so here's the list. Aaron changes a crap-filled diaper. Aaron wakes up drenched in sweat. Aaron winces on the toilet, applying hemorrhoid cream. That's one I don't need to see. Aaron grits her teeth on as Shiloh latches. You hit a few of these. Aaron lifts heavy bag of diapers. The bag rips, diapers everywhere. Aaron tries to pick Shiloh up from his playmat. It's too hard to hold him and stand. Aaron applies balm to her raw nips. We don't need to see that either. Shiloh pukes in Aaron's hair. Just as Aaron steps into the shower, we did that one. He starts to cry. So we have all these things. And then the next morning, right, we have this coup de grace where she's sitting there. What was she doing? Was she drinking coffee? She sees,
she's eating stale cereal straight from the box with one hand and holding Shiloh in the other.
Yes, and you could just imagine, like, you make her so disheveled. She just looks terrible, right? She's just rings under her eyes. And then you see her take a bite of cereal, and then you see her face. She just, like, crinkles her nose like she smells something bad. And then, yes, Shiloh's crapped all over him and her. Yeah. And then she stifles a sob, and then utterly defeated, she looks at that white box that's going to be gone tomorrow. This is like her lifeline, right? And so us as viewers are going to be so empathetic, right? Who would it be? Who would it be after all of that montage, right? You're going to be like, open the box, get some help. What's the worst that could happen? Even though we bought tickets to go see this movie, knowing bad things are going to happen. At this point in the story, we're still like, just open the box. So, yeah. So, and then I liked the little touch at the end is we close on, Erin places her finger in the indentation of the white box door. This is what unlocks it, and it leaves a brown smudge. So that is like the ultimate, like, yep, she even has crap on her hands now when she opens the box. So she's at her lowest low. She just needs some help. And here comes AIDa.
And Erin is very acutely aware of how much close AIDa gets to her, following her, everything. Erin is drawing a bath for her son, and AIDa comments how the water's not warm enough yet. But Erin says that she has to put her kid down, and of course, AIDa, being the diligent nanny bot, says, "Would you like me to take him?" And Erin just says no. And then we get this really creepy part where AIDa's hands glow red, and she dips them into the water, and it's basically she just heated up the water to 96 degrees.
Super fast. That's so creepy.
Well, Erin yanks Shiloh out of the tub because she's afraid that the robot would short circuit and electrocute the kid.
And then AIDa's just calm as a cucumber. There you go, 96 degrees, like all perfect.
Yeah, and then offers to do laundry for Erin. I put your clothes in the wash, and Erin is covered in the kid's feces. And then we cut to Erin having the first shower, like, alone, until she notices that AIDa is staring at her through the glass, while the robot sits next to Silo, who's laying in a bassinet. And
tries to touch him, and then Erin from the shower is like, don't touch him. Like, she's super protective, but we're seeing it's the frog in boiling water, right? We're seeing, like, she's slowly going to start to trust this robot. And again, you got to do this well. If you drag this out, you're going to annoy the audience. If you do it too fast, you're not building enough suspense. I love this. I think the pacing in the script is great with this, as we're building up to, because we know where it's going, and that's part of the suspense, right? So what do you think? Is the pacing good?
Pacing is pretty good because Erin has rules for AIDa, like, don't touch him, don't talk to him, don't smile at him, just make sure he's alive and breathing. And AIDa's like, understood. And then after she gets out of the shower and the kid has been put down, Erin asks the question, so how do you work? And AIDa sets out the rules. I work for you. You're the primary user. You control everything about me, from memory storage to my power mode. She's pre-programmed with baseline data that equips her to being a great caregiver, but she's designed to follow all of Erin's instructions.
Yeah, and then the next big step, when she's ready, AIDa says, when you're ready, we can begin my training. I would say imprinting is a better word here, but it's training. and we'll customize these behaviors so I may tend to your child exactly how you would tend to them yourself. So, sounds awesome, but also sounds very creepy, right? Like,
it's even more creepier because AIDa can read the body language and the biometrics of the child and Erin. And so she can tell when Erin is scared or anxious or what have you, and then she can also tell when what the kid might need as well. Her sensor network is incredibly sophisticated. And this kind of intimidates Erin because AIDa says, I will know exactly what your baby is feeling because I'm excellent at reading human cues. And Erin says, well, that's great because I can't tell what he wants half the time, and it makes me, and she can't finish that sentence, but AIDa does by saying, like, angry, sad, resentful, creates a sense of affirmation, saying all perfectly normal feelings for a new mom, trying to be a useful piece of equipment.
And Erin, like, even relaxes at that. Like, we see Erin, she bristles, of course, at first, but then you can tell, and you're just sitting here thinking, is this just good programming, right? Is this, and again, like, when you go into a movie or a script, you know what it is, right? We know this is going to be simple. We know this is going to be scary, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard because that's always in your mind every second that you're in there. You know why you're watching this movie. And so it's like, well, we want to get to that part, but we also want to see Erin get to that point too, right? Where you're like screaming at her, like, wake up, it's dangerous, right? And And so again, I'll go back to that. I feel like even now, like I don't feel like any of this is wasted because this is all part of us learning what Ada's abilities are, right? So we know better what to worry about as the audience, right? Like, well, what can she do? What are her limits? What can't she do? Because remember we talked about, I think we're about to talk to about how strong it is, or was that when she was talking to Noah about how strong it is? It made her nervous.
Well, she talked about, well, even she talks to Ada about how strong he is, because Ada has only one directive, and that is do what's best for the baby, which is a very scary directive, because that it's not what defined best for what is best for the kid. That
I mean, that's kind of scary.
But yeah, Ada has the ability to lift heavy objects away if a child is injured. And is also very fast and maneuverable. So if the kid goes somewhere it shouldn't, it can catch the kid before it hurts itself. But what really kind of wins Aaron a bit over to Ada is Aaron is trying to sing a lullaby to her kid. It's this old Swedish song about a wolf howling in the forest. And Ada, I guess, accesses the internet, pulls up the song, and then sings it beautifully to the kid, putting him down while at the same time warming Aaron's heart because she hadn't heard the song
in the original language.
Yeah,
so that's what really won Aaron over. Was it was beautiful and it was in the original language, which she couldn't do. She was singing it in English. And so, yeah, I mean, gosh, man, this is good writing, right? Because you're thinking, I'm looking at this from a creative standpoint. You're like, okay, how do I get what's a cool, unique way to win over the mother in the situation, right? So the writer had to go through that process in their mind as they're we're gonna look at how the sausage is made here for a minute. And I just think this is great. This is a great way to do it, a unique way. There's 100 different ways she could have done this, and having this song do it from her childhood in that language shows you like that's actually a really good way, right? To like win over and put her guard down, because it's going to make her be emotional and be very reminiscent of what she heard when she was a child. And so this was great. I loved this. I did like this part a lot.
And this is where Aaron basically kind of gives Ada permission to hold Shiloh for the first time and say like, okay, could you bring him to me when I need to feed him? And Ada sure says, of course. Like, when does he eat? And this part here, I mean, this is why Aaron is so kind of burnt out, because we find out that Shiloh is fed at 10 p.m., 1 a.m., and 5 a.m.
Like, yeah, I saw that.
And from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., he's not eating. That's a long time to not feed a kid. So I completely understand. It's like, yeah, you got to get that kid on a new feeding schedule, because that is not healthy for the kid or for you.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about it. What a good schedule would be for a brand new baby, but 10 p.m., 1 a.m., and 5 a.m. seems like, yeah, you're up every 4 or 5 hours all night long, you know.
Yeah, you need to get the kid to sleep through the night. The tricks that my friends used was in the evening hours from like 7 o'clock in the evening all the way till close to midnight. Play relatively loud music, like not too much to disturb your neighbors, but enough to hear it everywhere in the house, so the kid gets used to noises, and then you're training the kid while it's in the womb to get used to that, and then live through the night being able to sleep and not be disturbed by noises. And every mom I know that's done that, as soon as they get the kid onto a night schedule, it usually takes a couple of days depending on what time the kid's born, they start sleeping through the night in the early months and no real problems. And so they have their morning feeding, their lunch, a couple more feedings before going to bed in the early hours, and they sleep through the night. And everybody feels great after that. And then the couple of my friends that didn't do that are, exhausted for the first couple of weeks until they get the kid on a proper sleeping schedule. And even then, they still wake up in the middle of the night because they heard a noise, or maybe they, soiled themselves or got hungry. So
yeah, or like I said, back with new parents, they just worry, so they're going to be up a lot anyway.
Some have the adrenaline in them where they just watch their kids sleep from dusk till dawn.
Yeah, geez. Okay, so we're seeing Aaron's guard start to come down. Let's see where we at.
We also learn that Ada has to charge. It takes her 15 minutes to recharge to full power, so that is the only time when Ada will not be functioning. So Aaron has to,
and that's some impressive tech, man. A battery like 15 minutes for a whole 24 hours is pretty great. Yeah, so we're page 31. Yeah, so then Noah calls in, right? We do a FaceTime call with Noah.
Yeah.
And did anything significant happen on this call? I can't remember if it was just sort of a check-in.
Other than the fact that Aaron said, "Yeah, I broke. I activated AIDa. She's been helping out. And the kid's sleeping, and Noah's disappointed because he wanted to see him through the FaceTime stuff. But he hasn't smiled yet, which is also something that's been bothering Aaron and Noah. The kid hasn't smiled, laughed, or anything.
And that's a recurring theme that builds up to it's foreshadowing too, which is good. In fact, a lot of the foreshadowing in this I felt was the perfect balance. Like if you foreshadow and it's so subtle that it's pointless as a foreshadow, right? But if it's so on the nose as a foreshadow, it's obnoxious, right? Because then you're like, oh, here we go, this is coming here, And so there's at least let's see, we've got the smile, we've got the
admission of activating AIDa, which Noah's like, that's not a problem. I'll call them and tell them that we changed our mind and we'll keep the unit. It's cool. Like I'm just glad that you're feeling better and you're not sounding exhausted all the time. Like Noah was genuinely happy.
Yeah. Well, the adrenaline when Tanya tells her as a mother you could lift a car off of a child, that was foreshadowing. There's a 3 to 5. I'm trying to think. There's 3 to 5 of them in here that actually do pay off that were pretty good in the third act. So so I liked all this. Okay, so 33.
Yeah, we have our first night.
So this is when this is again, this one of those little minor scares leading up to the bigger stuff, right? Where she's like AIDa is over her. She came to feed to wake her for feeding, and it scares Aaron, right? She's like, something's you can feel someone over you as you're coming out of sleep. And we see that for the 10 p.m. It happens again at 1 a.m. This happens very quickly. And then by the 5 a.m., when Aaron wakes up, it's less of a jolt, right? It's more of a, okay, we're getting more into being more comfortable with AIDa, bringing her the baby for a feeding. So again, that guard is just slowly coming down.
Yeah, and when she goes, she sleeps after the 5 a.m. feeding, she goes back to bed. She wakes up, an hour or so later, goes to the nursery, but Shiloh's not there. Freaks out, heads downstairs, running, screaming for Shiloh, and there's AIDa in the kitchen making breakfast for Aaron. And AIDa's
Shiloh,
like, "Yep, Shiloh woke up early. And we decided to make you a little breakfast." And she feeds her this, I don't know what it is, but it's for postpartum.
Yeah, what the heck was it? They brought that up several times. It's like it's good for your heart or something.
It's like Ayurvedic or Ayurvedic or I don't know what it is. It's
I don't either. I was going to ask you if you knew.
No, this is new to me. I'm like, what is? I don't know. Is this some sort of miracle? Is it like an avocado or something?
Yeah, Ayurvedic, Ayurvedic. Here, you keep talking. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. So this is something that AIDa is constantly prepping for Aaron. Tanya comes in, and so she's doing her normal cleaning, and of course commenting that this is not good that you have the robot working here. It's you really don't need one of these things. She's telling her all the stuff that Aaron actually needs to hear. Is like, you just need a little bit of help so you can kind of get your bearings, and then you've got this. But AIDa is also making some good arguments about, well, I'm going to be trained to to be the type of mother or the type of nanny that you need me to be. I'm also able to cook and clean all the healthy foods that you need to eat while you're breastfeeding your child, so that because what you eat, it eats. And then AIDa is being very, very forthcoming with what she wants from Aaron so that she can do a job. And this is where you get into the science fiction aspects of things, where the words that you say that have a much more layered meaning aren't as run a different line of depth compared to what they actually mean. So, AIDa asks Aaron, what are the 3 adjectives that would describe the kind of parent you would like to be? And Aaron, of course, says, I don't need one adjective. I just want to be a perfect mom. And in an ideal world, that would be great. But we go into this kind of montage where Ada is just asking questions. We don't get all of the questions asked. We have to infer that for ourselves. But Ada is asking questions, and we can hear like the hard drive in her head like whirring up and getting louder and louder as Ada is developing the parameters needed to take care of Shiloh the way that Aaron wants.
Yeah. Okay, and this is a subtle thing, but again, audio, right? I always notice audio stuff. So this is cool that she doesn't just stare at her, right, and listen, but we actually have this kind of a hum, which on its own is not a big deal. But in context, the fact that this machine makes a different noise when it's like soaking in these details, right? It's just creepy, right? It's just it just adds another layer of the creepiness to what's happening. And so that kind of stood out to me. Okay, are you ready for the Ayurvedic, what it is?
Sure, yeah, what is it?
Okay, Ayurveda refers to a traditional Indian holistic healing system that offers practices to support postpartum recovery, balance, and well-being. It emphasizes restoring a new mother's physical, mental, and emotional health after childbirth. So for diet, warm, nourishing foods, examples, soups, ghee, rice porridge to restore energy and balance Vata, often imbalanced post-birth, avoid cold, raw, or spicy foods. So it's more of a holistic thing versus just like, it's not a specific one type of food.
Okay, so it's essentially like bland soup.
Yeah, it's warm. I get it. Warm, soup, ghee, and rice. I mean, what else? Yeah, it's pretty boring. It's a pretty bland diet to keep the mom probably balanced so that she can recover. Anyway, so yeah, look, we learned something new from this script. That's always fun.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I guess I'll have to keep that in my back pocket if ever have kids, and if I'm feeling postpartum, I know what to eat.
Yeah.
So one of the things that so after we do this montage where Ada is just kind of soaking up all the data that Aaron is giving her, we get into Aaron's story about how she met Noah and how they got together, and they were both lawyers working for competing firms, and it was all through aggressive emails that Noah was sending her, and she couldn't kind of make any headway, so she just asked to see him in person for a drink so they could figure out what's going on. And we have this compelling story where she was expecting some grouchy old man, but it was just a contemporary guy, and he was nursing a whiskey, and they kind of hit it off, got married that year, did all their travel, decided to start trying for a kid, which they thought would take a while because they're a little bit older, but they got lucky early on, and
Bam.
Yeah, that's how we got here. They moved west so they would be closer to Japan, and that's
And then
basically
Ada,
it.
And this questioning is very important because the way it started was, how would you describe what you want to be or whatever? She's like, perfect. And then at the end, it ends with the question. Ada says, last question. At the beginning of our conversation, you said you wanted to be the perfect parent. What 3 adjectives describe the kind of parent you currently are? And Aaron gave these 3 words: weak, inadequate, failure. So we know, because there's a beat there too, that cues us as the audience that maybe shouldn't have said that to this AI, right?
Yes.
And then it ends with Ada saying, okay, well, are you ready for your scan? And Aaron's like, scan what? And we're like, what? Scan? There's more? Like, this isn't already like, what is it? Imposing? No, infiltrating enough into her life. Now there's a scan. And then we cut to Aaron standing naked, arms and legs outstretched like Da Vinci's, what is it? The
Vitruvian Man. The Vitruvian Man. Yeah, so that's the hands on the circle, the whole thing there.
And so then Ada does a scan front and back of her whole body. And why would she need to do this? Script? Like, why would she need to do this? It's pretty obvious, right? What was your first guess when you saw this scene?
Of course, supplementation. But Ada has this. This says that she can biologically pair with mothers, so that when Ada is with the child, all of her biometrics are simulated. The mother's biometrics are simulated through the Ada bot, so that the child can't distinguish between the two in the early ages, so that they're always going to feel nurtured when they're being held by the robot until they get of a certain age, in which case they can distinguish between the mother and the robot.
So they're basically going to think they're bonding with the mother, even when the robot's holding them,
Yes.
because they're going to be they're going to replicate the mother to such a degree that the baby won't know the difference.
And then
And so, yeah, kind of creepy.
it's also creepy is that Ada says, if I can have like your perfume or some clothes that you have worn, so that I can make sure I emit the same scent that you have, when it holds Shiloh, and Aaron's like, yeah, you can just grab anything in the anything in the closet, but and then of course Aaron says, remarkably, wow, is there anything that you can't do? And Ada says, well, I can't produce milk. But she's artificially able to breastfeed should you want me to, but I will need milk to do so. And that's when Aaron's like, well, how does that work? And Ada shows that she's got these artificial breasts that are like pale white skin, like a paper, and these very black nipples. and
and there's a spout on top, on the upper part of
by the
of
shoulder,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that she can put she can put Aaron's milk into that and then breastfeed the child through these artificial. And then she's like, why are they white? And then we find out it's because the baby can't see color yet, but they can see the contrast, and it helps the baby to find the nipple and latch on. Like this woman who wrote this definitely is a mom, or has definitely been studying a lot to become a mother, because there's all these details that I would never have thought of if I was trying to write this.
And then Aaron admits this really important flaw, which is when she's lactating, the milk comes out too fast, and her son starts to choke, and it frightens her. And so this is where Ada says, well, then we should get a bottle and a breast pump, and that way you can control the flow, or you can let me do it because I can control the flow. But Aaron says it just feels like this is one thing is sacred for a connection between a mother and child. And so
think
Ada's
about
like,
this.
okay, sure.
So now Aaron's gone from not even wanting to turn this thing on to now she's like on the fence of like maybe letting her breastfeed her child, right? She's like, well, this is the one thing that I still want to do for my child, right? So yeah, we've come a long ways. Like this Ada's a fast mover, right? It's doing a good job winning over Aaron. And then Ada says baby seeing grayscale until approximately 3 months of age. The high contrast black nipples against the white skin help Shiloh find his target. It's just good. I love the writing. It's great. And again, I don't feel like any of the dialogue or any of this is just filler, right? This all goes places. It's all good. So good writing going on. So what happens next, Script?
Well, there's a little bit of a rapport between Ada and Aaron, and Ada says, okay, it's been a good day. We've got some stuff done. I'm going to go recharge if that's okay with you. Ada leaves, and Aaron just sits back in a rocking chair, just to try and, soothe Shiloh while she's there. And as she looks out the window and sees a disheveled woman in a white bathrobe standing on the edge of Margot's roof, right by the nursery window.
Hey, can I say to you what I said in the green room about?
Yeah,
this
sure.
lady? Okay, so there's this lady in a white bathrobe that's disheveled, kind of crazy, freaking out. Right now, we see her on the roof across the street. And every time I see this lady, I always think of the lady at the crazy house on Happy Gilmore, the Mr. lady.
Yeah.
Mr. And so that's who I see every time I see her. And so she's in the house. This is a lady. Well, we don't know where she lives exactly. We see her on the roof across the street where Margot lives. So it's kind of like, okay. And then, one thing we kind of towards the end of, let me back up 1 second. This is important. Ada does mention in that last conversation she was having with Aaron that in about 3 months they need to discuss what she would prefer Ada to look like, because she can alter what she looks like. Some people prefer an older like aunt from the family, grandmother, whatever, somebody. And so we learn that that Ada can literally make herself look like anyone that we want her to look like. So another layer of like, well, that's a little creepy, a little weird, right? So anyway, okay, so let's get back to Mr.
Well, Aaron thinks that Aaron sees the lady across the street. She does a double take, and the lady's gone, and Aaron is chalking it up to that she's so tired she's hallucinating. So hopefully she just needs a few more days.
Jumped, right?
Yeah.
For a second, she thought she jumped off the roof, and she checked, and they're like, no, she didn't hit the ground anywhere. So she just thinks that she is hallucinating a little bit, but we know that she's not. There's something going on with this lady, right?
Yeah. And then we go inside Ada's box, where there's these tiny remote arms that can make alterations to Ada's body, and excuse me, they pull out some.
that she can put her DNA and stuff into, right? Because
Yeah.
she swapped her DNA and she took one of her hairs from Aaron, right? And so she puts that into the box, a drawer inside the box. So how big is this box, right? Because at first I thought it was really small, like just packaging, but apparently it's big enough for her to sit in and for her to do all this other stuff.
Yeah, so I would probably say it's like 6x3, 6x3x3 box, I guess.
Like a porta potty kind of maybe.
Kind of thing, yeah.
Okay.
And then we also have all these holographic recordings because it's patched into the security of the house, so you get to hear Erin's voice. And we can hear her complaining where she's talking about, like, here I am in a strange house, no job, no friends, and a baby I don't know how to take care of. Then we get the repetition of the weak, inadequate, and failure part, and Shiloh choking as Erin breastfeeds, and her saying, God, I'm so bad at this. And this is all being used as a foundation for AIDa to then kind of repeats, her main directive, which is do what's best for baby.
Yeah, we hear her softly whisper it as she closes her eyes to recharge, and it's like, oh, great. Good.
And then we cut to a couple days later, and Erin is preparing. AIDa is preparing lunch. Erin and Tanya stand over Shiloh's bassinet, where Erin tries tickling him, and Shiloh's not responding, and she's super concerned that this kid has not smiled. And Tanya's like, he will smile one day. Just give him time. And Erin's saying, like, yeah, the doctor says not to be concerned, but I just can't help it. It feels like it hates me, or like he hates me. And Tanya says, like, babies don't know hate. They are perfect angels. Like, just it's gonna take time.
And that's projection 101. We do that with our dog. Like, our dog just laying there, just looking at us. We're like, oh man, he's really mad at us right now. Right? No, it's all project. We don't know, but it makes sense because she's going through all of this trauma. What do you think about Tanya as a character? I loved her. I
thought Tanya's great. I'm like, I would love to have a woman like that in my life, helping out with good advice and a lot of love and care.
Yeah, and she doesn't take no crap from AIDa. She doesn't like AIDa, but she's not super mean to AIDa, but she's just like, no, I don't like this, I don't like that, I'm not afraid of you. And then here's where we're about to see AIDa for the first time really make everybody nervous with the keys. Remember the keys?
Yeah, so Tanya is trying to cheer up the kid, and dangling keys cheers up a kid. They like the sound, the shiny stuff.
Classic.
And classic. AIDa, in the blink of an eye, like, vaults over the kitchen island and snatches the keys from Tanya and says that they're dangerous because they're dirty, full of bacteria, and the kid shouldn't touch them. And of course, Tanya's like, I raised 3 children. How many have you raised? None. You are made in a factory. You come out of a box. And AIDa looks to Erin and holds up the keys, trying to see, like, who wins. And of course, Erin, trying to be diplomatic, says, well, we'll just give him this to play with instead. And it's I don't know, it's like a nearby toy. It's not really described as anything.
Mm-hmm.
And Tanya says, I'll go fresh in the nursery. And so we have this rivalry between Tanya and AIDa. And AIDa, we get the impression that AIDa would have more to say, but decides not to.
Yeah, which is weird because now we're seeing... It's interesting because when I think of, like, androids, I always think of Data, right? And like no emotion. But yet we see these other things where... like iRobot, or we see it all the time where they take robots to the next level, right? Now they have emotion. It happened in the Matrix, like, and so I've always wondered with AIDa, is she programmed to have emotion from the get-go? Because it kind of feels like that, right? Like, she's very caring and empathetic, but to the point that it creates these other back doors where bad things happen, right? Because the number one priority is to take care of the baby. And so, yeah, what do you think? Is she supposed to be an emotional robot, or do you feel like that was kind of like a miswrite? Like, she shouldn't be this emotional. Why does she give a crap what Tanya thinks or does? She shouldn't get mad at her, right?
Well, I mean, it comes down to that programming, right? Do what's best for the baby. And so if you see someone doing something that's not good for the kid, that can stir a concern. And I would say that AIDa, we got the idea that AIDa is programmed with all this information to simulate or emulate certain emotions without actually having them. But when you combine those simulations with a programming of protecting a child or doing what's best for the child, it can also come across as, resentment or hate. And AIDa may not actually have those feelings, but logically, she could say this person is not good for the baby, therefore this person should be away from the kid.
Yeah.
And when you combine that with the empathy algorithm, it comes across as, yeah, you're not good for this child. Get away. You're bad. But AIDa doesn't say those things. Just kind of very passive aggressively, I guess, would say, yeah, it'll be a few more days until my biochemical signature will match you completely, and yeah, things will be okay, and we don't have to worry about the kid. Excuse me, the kid, getting sick or being mistreated.
So okay, so let's boil this down. So do you think that the robot is supposed to have emotions, or do you think she's just supposed to emulate emotion?
I think the intention is that she's supposed to emulate emotions, but whenever you're dealing with an AI, especially from a corporation that's trying to make life easier while at the same time lining their pockets and they don't care about the consequences, you end up creating close enough of a simulation that it's almost indistinguishable from fake emotions to real emotions.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Just kind of interesting in that, because I'm like, you would think something that's going to take care of a baby, you would want it to be as non-emotional as possible, right? So there's never any overreactions to things, But like the baby takes a dump on you as a robot, you don't want it to freak
react.
out.
Yeah. But the other part too is you also realize, well, that's great for when something bad happens or when the kid does something bad. But you also have to have a nurturing attitude towards the kids so that they have a guideline of how to behave. And if you have a cold, lifeless automaton interacting with the child's going to emulate the cold, lifeless automaton back. And therefore they're going to be less human than they're going to be as less human as the artificial being.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's an interesting thing to think about how that would work. But yeah, I just like this whole concept of how far AI is going to infiltrate our lives. And we know now, gosh, man, this is a tidal wave, right? Every day you're drinking from a fire hose on what's coming out. And AI is not going anywhere, right? Like it's going to be, there's people that say it'll be bigger than the internet and if impacting the human race. And to think about it at this level, that's what kind of makes this story so unnerving. And that's what makes it good is yeah, this is really, there's nothing more fragile than a newborn baby, right? That's more that we would worry about as much, right? It's so helpless. And let's put AI as close to that as we can. And then let's start poking things and see where the story takes us. And I think that's why I like this script, is it's unique and it does really make you question what are we going to be comfortable with? In 100 years, will this be it'll be as natural to have a robot nanny helping raise your kids as it is to have a dishwasher? Is it just going to be as normal as that? You know what I mean? It's interesting. It's very interesting to think about.
It is, because how much is it taking away from the responsibilities you need in order to be a functioning human being? I mean, I know people that have Roombas just because they don't want to vacuum.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I've been so busy these last few months, I'm almost tempted to get one myself, but I'm busy. But I still manage to try and find my time once a week where I can do my chores around the house to keep a nice and homely environment. I'm terrified that if I left it into automation, I would no longer be able to take care of myself in the way that I would need to. I'd be too dependent on those machines. And this is part of the theme of this script is, as we're getting deeper and deeper, AIDa is taking more responsibility when it comes to nurturing Shiloh, and Aaron is in recovery mode from the birth. And it's almost like AIDa is using that as a means to keep Aaron at arm's length from being a mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is where we get to the dark aspect of the story. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not just the story, but of AIDa. This is where we see AIDa intentionally, purposefully manipulating Aaron to get what she wants. This is where it all starts, is on page 45 is where I'm at.
Okay.
And you see towards the end of this, as they're talking about, because this is actually where she gives her piece of her clothing. I was with you. I thought it happened earlier, but this is where she picks out the dress to wear. So
Yeah.
she picks a dress from Aaron to wear. I think it's is it blue? I can't remember why. I think it was blue. Whatever, it's this dress. And then we see Ada start to work it right here. So next, beginning of page 46. Ada, if you want to return to work early, you should stop breastfeeding and start pumping. That way your body will have time to adjust. So we see Ada now already going, she realizes that Aaron wants to get back to work, not just in 6 months, but actually sooner. She's expressed this in this conversation. She wants to get back to work as soon as she can. Now, I would say from a psychological standpoint, as I'm writing this character, I would say that maybe even unbeknownst to Erin, the reason she's feeling the pull back to work isn't the work itself. It's to get out of this uncomfortableness and the unknowingness of being this new mother. It's just all unknown, right? Whereas she'd be much more comfortable at work. Even though it's hard work, she at least knows what to expect every day, and she's done it for a while. And so I would say that would make sense, right?
It's a habit to her, because she has this line saying, like, the hardest day in the office was cake compared to the easiest day as a mom.
Oh, yeah.
And that says a lot, because it's like with anyone when you're starting a new job. You may have the education and qualifications to do it, but the company you're working for has what they do, and you have to learn that. And you are in this, like, I don't know phase. So you're just trying to figure out, well, what it is. You're hoping the training that they provide you is adequate enough so that you're able to get a bearing on what you're supposed to do. And you learn as you go, and for some people they have a short learning curve where they pick it up in a couple of weeks, and then there's other people that have a long learning curve that pick up in a couple of months, and it is up to, and I mean, it's new for every time depending on the complications of the job. Like before I got into screenwriting, when I'd get part-time jobs out of it was high school and college, there'd always be that learning period where, okay, I got this, I know what the job entails, but I mean, I have an idea of what to do, but I don't know 100%, and I haven't experienced enough of conflicts to solve those problems, and have that confidence to do the job yet. So whenever a new problem comes in, I have to ask for help, or I have to figure out from the training how to do it. And it was always that adjustment period. And I even have friends to this day, like, they'll get a promotion and they think, okay, I knew what my boss did, and now I'm the boss. And I'm doing what they did and also adding things that did better, but I'm still feel out of my depth here because I've never done this part of the job before. I've only ever been on the receiving end of delegation. Now I got to make the decisions of who I delegate certain tasks to make sure that they get done on time. And that's a whole new perspective of evaluation. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I like working as a screenwriter. I don't have to delegate. I can just take on all the issues myself and do it that way. It's a difficult job in a different area.
You raise a good point, and I've noticed this. I've lived long enough and went through, lots of experiences in my life where I've discovered that the 2-week rule is a thing. 2 weeks at a new job, 2 weeks with a new roommate, 2 weeks in a relationship. 2 weeks is usually a good, solid time to, like, get comfortable. You get past the freaked out stage, right?
Yes.
That doesn't mean you've mastered it by any means, but there's always a 2-week thing where you're like, I don't know, I'm just kind of like, I'm just riding the Bronco, right? Until things kind of settle down.
It's the first dip on the roller coaster where your stomach is behind your body, and then afterwards everything kind of gets adjusted, but you still don't know what to expect on the next loop or the next turn.
Right. But you're no longer just like confused by everything where you're just like, I'm barely holding on,
Yeah.
And I think that Erin's still in that situation for sure at this point, and Ada takes advantage of that, and we start to see her like in this scene because she goes from like, well, if you want to get back, she's like dangling that carrot, right? Well, if you want to get back to work early, you better start pumping, because that way your body will have time to adjust to everything. And then Erin's like, well, I haven't even figured out how to use that thing yet. And then Ada's like, oh, well, shall we go learn? Wink, wink. Let me go teach you how to pump. Because Ada knows that if she can get her pumping breast milk, that means that's one step closer to Ada doing the breastfeeding, right?
Yes.
And of course, that's where it's heading, right?
And it goes back to the purpose of AI, right? If you program an AI bot to basically be a caregiver, it's supposed to be the only caregiver, because it's part of that program is to alleviate stress, tension, difficulties of the human person, so they don't have to worry about it. And so this is Ada's prerogative. My job is to take care of the baby. My job is also to make sure that the mother is happy at the same time. So if the mother is telling me that she wants to go back to work early, this makes her happy, and it also gives me more autonomy to take care of the kid. Therefore, I'm fulfilling my programming.
Yeah.
and there's something very sinister about that.
Yeah, well, because you're seeing, I don't know what the term is in writing, but where you see these two, this thing that should be an enemy get closer and closer to something that's your protagonist, right? To where they're almost best friends, and they weasel their way in, and you as a viewer, you're watching it happen, and you're just like, no, stop it, and it just builds that tension. It's so good, and that's what I felt like this does is. Like I told you in the green room, like by about now, this is about the point where I took a break, and we're page 47, we're halfway through the script. And I thought, man, a lot hasn't happened yet, but I'm not bored. I'm okay with this. And I can't put my finger on why, but I just felt like the pacing was good and that, I feel like we're moving along. Even though, because think about it, we're halfway through, maybe not the film because things take longer to film in certain scenes than on what's on paper, but we're halfway through the script. And honestly, we haven't had anything scary happen. Nothing bad.
Nothing scary, but it's all battle of wits and mind games.
Yeah, but you see what I mean? We're halfway through, and we haven't had any awesome action or scariness on screen. It's all just been like, this is a slow burn, dude.
Yeah,
this is a slow burn.
It's building up tension. We're seeing, we're seeing the fortitude that Aaron had in place when not trusting an AIDa bot be chipped away by AIDa. We see how intelligent AIDa is by preying on the vulnerabilities of Aaron and Aaron's doubts. And these are the typical doubts of a new mom that they get over as they start piecing together everything that they remember as a kid when they were being raised, the stuff that they wanted to do themselves, their own plans, plus any material that they read or advice that they're getting. It's all a giant puzzle that has been dropped onto the table that they have to start finding the pieces and start putting it together, and they do it at their own pace. But just like with a kid, if you're trying to teach a kid how to do a puzzle, you don't do it for them. You give them a couple of tips, but they have to do it themselves. And here, AIDa is not letting Aaron put the pieces of the puzzle pieces together herself because AIDa wants that control.
Right. Yeah. So she's definitely exploiting the situation from Aaron's naivete, right?
Yes.
At this point in the story, I think this is around the time I think I started thinking this thought. I don't know if you had the same thought, but I was like, what about the thousands or hundreds of thousands of other AIDas around the world? Are they all doing this same thing? Right?
Good
like
question.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's really scary. Or is it just because the way did Aaron screw up the interview? Right? The way she answered the first question and the way she answered the last question. Because that after reading this whole script, I can't help but wonder, I'm like, is that what like caused everything else to cascade from there, right? Was that the catalyst? What do you think? Was it the catalyst, or is it just that she just got an AI unit that just decided to go down this path?
Well, I mean, without spoiling it, I'd say there's a part of it that's probably a catalyst to it. I mean, it all comes down. That's why Isaac Asimov, famous science fiction writer, depicted the 3 rules of the robot, which is, don't harm a human being, take orders essentially, and also the other law is self-preservation so long as it doesn't violate 1 and 2.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and I'm abbreviating that because I don't remember them word for word as much anymore these days. I'm getting old. But yeah, and the fascinating aspect about the iRobot short stories is how often those 3 laws of robotics come in conflict with what is needed to be done. And overall, parts of some of those stories is how, despite all our efforts to try and make a perfect artificial being that can contribute and help us in dangerous areas or help us solve complex problems, it still requires human beings to have imagination and be the forefront of our own destiny, and not supplement that with an artificial being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just I think that's why I really like this script, is because it delves into all of those dark areas with where technology meets humanity, and there's a lot of meat on that bone to like chew through to try and figure out. Mm-hmm. When I first saw The Matrix, like it blew my mind because it wasn't just the cinematography and just the action and all of that stuff when that came out. It was walking away from the theater. I still remember it, walking away from the theater just thinking about that concept of that this whole computer AI intelligence that they could all have. It's not just one. It wasn't Skynet like with Terminator. It was like all of these individual programs that each were just like we had spirits. They had programs, and they're all individual, and they're all living, and then they turned on us, right? They had a reason to come after us, and it's just fascinating to think about that, right? Like what makes intelligence, what makes life, and what all of these things that anyone who's into sci-fi, they've delved into forever. I mean, Star Trek's done it for since the 60s. It's just cool. I love it. And maybe that's why, even though we're halfway through the script and there hasn't been any action yet, I'm still on board. Like I'm into it because of the psychological part of it, like this back and forth, this cat and mouse. Maybe I'm going to say that cat and mouse, maybe between Aaron and AIDa, because it's not obvious cat and mouse, but yet the way they do beats on certain things, and then the way things are phrased, that this is heading for a bad ending, right? You're just at this point, you're just waiting to see how it's all going to come together or fall apart, however you want to phrase it,
Oh yeah, it's tension. There's manipulation. There's vulnerability. It's great. And when we get Tanya coming back into the scenes when she does her house cleaning stuff, she's there just telling, Aaron, you're doing a good job being a mom. You have to give yourself some grace, some time. It's like the hardest job in the world. I always take umbrage when people refer to parenting as a job, because it's really just the ultimate responsibility, which is far more important than a job, in my opinion. A job, you can leave, you can quit, whatever. With a parent, you're supposed to be there until that kid has grown to be self-sufficient, and you've done a good job when you do not worry about all the little things anymore. You only worry about the big things. And that's part of the responsibility as a parent, is one that sticks with you, until you're gone. And that's what's pretty cool about it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Were you talking about because I think the next time we see Tanya is the creepy scene where she hears Aaron in the bathroom, I think, with the baby. Is that what they were doing? And then she walks in and it's not Aaron. It's AIDa singing and sounding just like the mother. Was that?
Yeah.
Look at page. So 48 is where she goes on a walk, and then AIDa's like da da da, and then 49. So page 49 of the script, Tanya, Aaron, I brought you, because she hears the thing. Aaron, I brought you. She stops short when she realizes Aaron is not in the bathroom at all. Rather, AIDa is there bathing Shiloh and doing a perfect imitation of Aaron's voice. AIDa looks at Tanya expectantly. Can I help you? Tanya takes a step toward the robot, unafraid to start a pissing match. I love Tanya, dude.
Yeah.
She's so good. So good. And Tanya says, my eyes are not so good, but yours used to be gray. No, now they are green, like Aaron's. And then AIDa doesn't even hide it. She's like, that's right. I'm changing to match Shiloh's development. He's starting to see in color. Tanya, maybe soon he'll see what I see.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just love Tanya. She's got that mama bear thing going. We don't need this technology screwing with our kids. Like, get the heck out of here. I like the back and forth between Tanya and AIDa, because it happens several times. We see this friction. And again, AIDa picks up a towel, sees a dryer sheet folded in. She throws it in the trash. Dumb effing human.
Yeah.
She does not like that Tanya brought up these fresh towels and left a dryer sheet in the towels. So again, we see this. How would you capture that on screen though? Because in the script we can see what AIDa is thinking, but how would you film this to get across to us, the audience, that the how angry that AIDa is because of this dryer sheet?
You'd probably have AIDa narrow her eyes, looking intently at the dryer sheet, and then toss it away.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Probably do it that way.
I guess that's all it would take, because we've already addressed that the dryer sheets are bad, right? So that makes sense.
What's cool is that as we learn more about Tanya, she talks she talks about telling Aaron that she's doing a good job, and that parentage is like a tightrope that you walk. You're holding your breath until the day you die, but that wire can only hold the weight of two people, so it's meant to be like the mother and the child, which I thought was a great analogy. And
very cool, yeah.
When you add in the third person, someone is bound to take a spill. And what's great is that this is also the same analogy when it comes to like couples as well. If you try to add a third person, it's no longer a negotiation between the two people. It's now a form of a democracy where 2 votes wins, and you're no longer able to compromise because of that. And that's why, even when you have a family with a lot of kids, Yeah, so the decisions have to be by the parents. The kids, they can voice their opinions, but they shouldn't really get a say, because now you're pitting the children, you're putting the children in between you and your spouse when it comes to the future of the family. And the kids, they don't have enough frame of reference to really make those decisions. Not when they're still, in school, don't have jobs, don't have any responsibilities.
Right.
And I've seen some families that start doing that, and then they have to walk it back, and it's always a struggle for a good while before the kids kind of get with the new program.
Yeah, family counseling on Scripts on Saturday. So there you go, people. No charge for this.
I
I
helped raise 7 kids. So.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think kids should have a voice, but the parents make the decision. Like, let them feel heard, and take their advice, but they don't drive the car, so to speak.
Right.
So at this point in the script, I was kind of reading a little bit ahead while you were talking. This is the part where Tanya pulls out her flip phone.
Yes, like an old Motorola from the 1990s.
Yes, and Aaron's like, those things still exist. Tanya's response is so good. These things don't need my fingerprints, my eyeballs, my soul to answer it.
Yeah.
and again, so this is a parallel, right? This is in contrast. This shows like Tanya is the antithesis to our android nanny. And then this phone's going to play a role later. This isn't exactly foreshadowing. I guess it kind of is, right? Like we make a very clear note of this phone because it plays an important role later when in the plot when we see it at another point. Mm-hmm. We're getting close to that point too, aren't we?
Right now, Tanya is AIDa. Aaron, gosh, so many names. Aaron is still worried that she's not healing fast enough, and AIDa offers to help her heal faster. Like these are some massage techniques that we can do to get you in there. As Tanya's about to leave, Tanya notices that AIDa is bleeding between her legs, and she says, "Go get yourself cleaned up. I will take care of, if the robot's not around, if she's charging, I'll go and take care of your kid." And of course, Aaron's like, "Do you know how?" And it's not done in a patronizing way. It's done out of just concern. And Tanya reminds her, like, "Aaron, I raised 3 babies and 6 grandbabies." And she's like, "Right, of course, yes, thank you. Go help me out here while I clean up." And then we get AIDa kind of just activates in the middle of her charging and noticing that something is wrong, and we hear
and sorry, pause.
Yeah.
She's not just recharging. She's in the middle of a molding session where the lasers are making her look more and more like Aaron now. So she's in the middle of like some weird, like, her face is changing and her bodies are changing. The lasers are like manipulating her body. And then something's wrong, and we just see her like pop out of the box, right? She's like, something's very bad. So what is that? What's happening?
Well, what's happening is that like Aaron is on a phone call with her doctor trying to get some answers, and we hear a crash. Aaron hangs up the phone. She runs up into the nursery where AIDa and Tanya are in the shouting match, and AIDa is accusing Tanya of almost killing Shiloh, and Tanya is, of course, insulted by that and calls her a Shonda.
What's that? Is that some Swedish word for something? Or
I think it's a Russian word.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll look it up. You
so it's like a Yiddish exclamation for like a disgrace or something of that nature, if I remember correctly. And Aaron is, of course, wondering what's going on, and AIDa says, "This incompetent put Shiloh to sleep on his stomach." And Tanya's like, "Well, so what? This is how we did it with all my children." And AIDa's like, "Well, you're lucky they're not dead." And Aaron tells AIDa to just go take care of Shiloh. And AIDa, as she leaves, remarks to Tanya that you shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a child. And of course, Tanya just apologizes, like, "This is how we just did it in our time." And Aaron's understanding. She's like, "It's okay. Look, just take tomorrow off. We're fine here, and we'll see you on Tuesday." And Tanya is a little crying because she's doesn't, of course, meant no ill harm to the child. And she goes. And of course, AIDa's initial response is, you need to terminate her. And of course, Aaron's like, "I can't fire her. She's a family friend." and Ada doesn't understand why that matters.
I
And
got it. I got it. Sorry, it took a minute. So
oh,
it's Yiddish for shame or disgrace.
okay, so yeah, all right, good.
Yep. Yep. You nailed it.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, so a little bit of an overreaction from Ada in that scene, like just for laying the baby down. But yeah, I guess because the baby could smother easily, more easily laying on its stomach, correct?
Yeah. But
I don't know
I've
much
seen
about
a
this
number of
stuff, so
kids when you lay them on their back, they eventually roll onto their stomach. As long as they're not face planted into a pillow, they're usually okay.
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
But anyways,
yeah.
what's scary is we just see Ada's response. And again, this it's escalating, right? We went from jumping across the countertop to grab keys
Hmm.
to now it's like she yanks herself out of this molding session and is accusing her of basically almost trying to murder the baby. So yeah, so we have we have a very emotional robot at this point on our hands, which is scary.
Yes, and then we definitely then we go to Erin at the OGBYN's office, and her doctor is telling her like she's had some serious tearing and she's not going to heal. She keeps pushing herself and basically saying we're going to get you on some estrogen cream and take some additional meds. Don't be a hero. Take it easy. And before she can do any more, her phone's ringing. She answers it, and it's Tanya, distraught on the other end, talking about how her grandson, her Gregor, was in a terrible car accident, and so she's at the hospital with him, and she can't come in today. And of course, she doesn't know when she'll be back. But Erin is saying, like, don't worry about it. Please just, let me know if there's anything I can do. And we cut to the nursery, and it's AIDa on Tanya's phone, impersonating her voice. And well, where's Tanya? TJ.
So yeah, as Ada hangs up, the camera pans over and she turns, revealing Tanya's dead body snapped at a wholly unnatural angle over the crib.
Yeah.
So Tanya, my favorite character, she's out. She's gone. She's the first one to go.
Mm-hmm.
Just broke her. Like if I did this, I'd probably break her back backwards, have her folded over backwards over the crib, right? And then Ada's just looking more. And at this point, Ada looks even more like Erin, right? Because she's getting her face is slowly changing.
Yep.
And then she just hangs up the flip phone, and that's the end of Tanya. So that's the biggest threat to the baby has now been taken care of. This part felt very reminiscent to me of Megan, when Megan was like protecting the little girl.
Right.
So yeah, so it's good, it's believable, and now we finally have our the first death in the movie, right? So poor Tanya had to go because she was just causing too much frick. She was in the way. She was way too much in the way. She was way too big of a threat for the baby. So she had to go, and that's the end of it. And honestly, that is the end of it. We never see. There's no like where she hides the body or nothing. We just have Tanya just gone. Tanya
just gone. Something happened. We don't know. Yeah, we do not know about Tanya's body. When Erin returns home and remarks about how they had a conflict with Tanya, and that she's not going to be around for a while because of her grandson was in an accident. Ada remarks like how she's sorry to hear that. And we get, weirdly enough, a scene that's kind of like girls' night between Erin and AIDa, where they watch Singing in the Rain. And Erin gives this speech about how, because we learn that Erin's father is fighting cancer, and he's been fighting cancer multiple times throughout his entire life. Every time he beats it, it comes back, and this has caused an issue with her. And the only way she could sort of deal with that, especially when she took a semester off school to take care of her dad, was to watch old movies, and Singing in the Rain was one of them. And of course, you've got the famous Make 'Em Laugh scene by Donald O'Connor, and yeah, it's she basically says this is the only type of time that made her laugh, and how she can't wait to show this to Shiloh someday. And yeah,
it's a big moment for connecting her and her father. And it's, yeah, when she talks about Shiloh, she hits play and we see the performance start on Make 'Em Laugh from Singing in the Rain. If you've ever seen the musical, you know what we're talking about. It's a great one, and it's super high energy. Oh my God, seriously, go watch that. It's crazy. But then we see, as Erin stares at the screen, Ada watches Erin studying both her and the movie carefully. A whirring sound takes over. She's learning. So this is a high focused moment for Ada. Yeah, this is so we know it's important to AIDa, so we should be paying attention to why she's recording this moment. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, then it gets interrupted with banging on the front door, and AIDa offers to answer it, but Aaron decides to pull up the security camera app, and this is where we get a holographic projection of who's at the front door, and it's the woman in the white bathrobe that was standing on Margot's house not 2 weeks ago. And Aaron, yeah, the Mr. Lady, and Aaron's like, go watch Shiloh, and so the woman's like, asking hello, and Aaron,
I was disappointed in Aaron in this scene, man, because all Aaron does is turn on the alarm and hide.
Yeah,
like I'm like, go check on this lady. Like this is if this is the first time she saw her, okay, maybe I could see her freaked out, but no, this is like the second or third time that she's seen this lady, and it's like maybe you should see what's going on with this woman, but she hides. She turns on the alarm, and then she hides. Lady comes to that window, so she runs to the kitchen and hides in the kitchen. And then that's the end of it. Like, the lady goes away.
Yeah.
So what is going on with this lady, right? Like, it's good suspense. It's good, like, who is this person? What is going on? And we're kind of slowly peeling the layers away with Aaron, trying to get to the bottom of the mystery of the lady in the white robe.
Yeah, and the next morning, well, Aaron is outside, and she waves to Margot, and Margot pretends not to see her. Of course, Aaron just walks over and says hi, and Margot's like, yep, we're on our way to our 4 months, so it's like, I know, like, we just got off on the wrong foot, but I wanted to let you know something about something I saw, something concerning. It's like, have you seen this woman in the neighborhood, a woman in a white bathrobe? And Margot's like, oh, yeah, she's absolutely nuts, lives in one of the homes up here, was banging on our door a few minutes back. And Aaron remarks, like, I think I wanted to let you know, like, I saw her a few weeks ago on your roof, actually. And Margot is shocked, like, on our roof? It's like, yeah, by the nursery. And, of course, Margot is all indignant on her. It's like, and you're just telling me this now? And Aaron is saying, like, oh, I wasn't sure if I really saw it at the time. I was sleep deprived. I had no clue. And Margot's like, okay, yeah, great, thanks. Just appreciate you letting me know. And then just goes back into the passenger side of the seat, goes on the car, and then orders it to drive away. And Aaron is just completely like, oh, why can't she get it right with this woman?
Just wants a friend, and this lady is not very polite, not very nice.
And then we get to the final parts where Aaron is starting to unpack the last few things, and we get this beautiful scene where there's an antique set of fireplace tools. And they were made by her. A shovel.
So people that don't know, shovel. These usually have a shovel, a poker, a little sweep broom,
and a stoker. Yep.
And a stoker. Yep. There's like 4 or 5 pieces.
Yep.
And so she goes on and tells her, hey, yeah, these came from, was it her grandfather or great grandfather? Great grandfather. That was from Ireland. So they're at this point, especially if it's another 20 years in the future from where we are now. They've that's kind of pretty cool. And then she kind of tells her story about, like, in our old house on the East Coast, we had a wood fireplace, and it was a lot of work, and it kind of sucked to, Noah throws back out sometimes chopping wood, but we loved it because even though it was messy, it was so nice to have a nice cozy fire. And now all we have to do is flip this switch, and now we have a fire here on the wall, but it's not the same, right?
Right.
So they kind of have another bonding moment. We get another peek into the past of our protagonist and build a little bit more on that character.
And Ada's first instinct is to say, do you want me to put these in storage? And Aaron's like, no, let's leave them. They'll be decorative. They'll be nice. And then Ada offers to go bathe Shiloh. And Aaron's saying, like, no, I could bathe him tonight. And Ada says, no, you should pump. If you don't stay on schedule, you could get mastitis.
Ada doesn't mess around when it comes to schedules, man. Like, how nice would it be as a human to be able to hold myself to that type of scheduling when I'm like, because a lot of time you set a schedule, like, I'm going to do this, and you do it for like 3 or 4 times, and then eventually, you just go off schedule, right? And I'm like, this is where I'm jealous of AI or computers in general, is like, man, if I could just do it. I'm going to work out every day for 1 hour, right? I'm going to row I'm going to hit the rowing machine for 45 minutes every day, and then I'm going to do some other stuff. Like, if you could just do that, you'd be so much further along. But planning and doing are 2 totally different things. Yeah. So Ada is here to make sure at every level, whether it's what she's putting in her face to eat or when she pumps her and when all this other stuff, Ada definitely can help crack that whip and make things happen.
And that's the interesting aspect of this command, is that at the start of Ada's introduction, she's supposed to obey Aaron's orders, but now Ada is the one that's giving orders to Aaron.
Yes.
And Aaron hasn't fully clued in onto that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're seeing it, and it's kind of scary because, again, it's that frog in the boiling water. It goes up so slowly, the frog doesn't know that it's getting cooked to death. And yeah, so next, let's see, where are we at? We're 63.
Yeah, we're about there. We get a nightmare sequence, a really good one.
Okay.
So
yeah. You go. You
so
do
this one here, we go into bedroom night, and Noah has showed up, and he's giving Aaron a kiss. He's back. He's happy to be back home. Aaron's happy to see her, and she starts instigating snuggle time, and of course Noah's like, are you sure? Like, she's like, yes, please. And as their bodies kind of ride together, Noah grabs her hair and pulls, and Aaron's entire scalp slides off, revealing nothing but machinery underneath, and it freaks out Noah.
So creepy, dude.
And
so creepy.
Aaron, and he's like, oh my God, Aaron. And Aaron, we get this kind of like, there is no Aaron, only Zool type of thing going on.
Yes, perfect. That's perfect. There is only Zool. And then she like grabs his face hard, like she's about to crush it. And then, boom, wakes up.
Aaron wakes up with a jolt and huge nightmare intact. And she sees that Shiloh is sleeping in his crib, and Ada is sitting in the rocker quietly watching over him. And then, yeah, it's just that the nightmare just lingers with Aaron for a moment, and she tries to go back to sleep. And
she flashes back, but she doesn't flash back to the scary part. She flashes back to the I'm getting turned on part.
Right, yeah, because it's been
that's
3.5 weeks plus a year where she's been pregnant.
Yeah, because she said, we find out later, or she might have already talked about it, she didn't. Yeah, they weren't having sex for a long time, like while she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And so she tests her body now that she's awake, and it's not working, meaning she's probably numb. She's not feeling much because of the giving birth and everything. So she gets her, I don't know how much we could say.
She gets her own little grown-up toy. But it doesn't have a charge
no battery.
in it.
Not charged. So she gets up, goes downstairs, and at this point, it's like, well, how far is this going to go, right? Like, where's this scene going?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what I was thinking at this point. I'm like, wait, how far is this going? She's going to, like, I understand she's trying to figure things out. She just had a hot and heavy dream. But to me, the hot and heaviness of the dream would have, like, been overshadowed by the ending where where my face is ripped off. But she's still feeling frisky. So she goes down to the kitchen, digs through a bunch of the drawer with all the cords in it, right? Mm-hmm. And finds the one she needs. And then what happens? You set this one up.
Ada off screen says, I can charge it, which of course scares Aaron. Like, why is Ada there? She's supposed to be watching the kid. And Ada says, yeah, if I charge it, it'll be much faster. And she's like, no, it's okay. It's been...
she's embarrassed, right? She's like, wait, she got caught with her hand in the cookie jar, kind of. It's like, it's sort of a shameful moment.
Well, and she says she hasn't used it in a long time, so she doesn't know if it's the dead battery, if it needs recharged, or if it doesn't work anymore. So she's not sure. And then there's a very funny joke here, because Aaron says it felt too weird having them both in me at the same time, when she's referring to that and her husband, and Ada doesn't understand the concept, which I thought was kinky.
Was that, or she meant she had the baby in her and her husband in her at the same time, so she stopped having sex because it felt weird. That's how I read that, but you could be right too. Either way, it's like, it's just, this whole scene is very funny and very awkward, and I was like, okay, this is kind of creative, right? But where's it going? So keep going. What happens next?
Well, basically Ada offers to help, and it's definitely supposed to be a weird scene, one that makes Aaron quite uncomfortable. And Ada argues, like, body and mind are trying to tell you something, you should listen to it. And basically, Ada's hands can vibrate. and
okay, so listen. Ada says this, quote, "Let me help you relieve some tension. All that dopamine, oxytocin, it'll be so good for you." Now, here's the thing. If you flip this or twist this a little bit, and it's not Ada, and Aaron's not married, she's just some single chick, and some guy is saying this, like, I'm a doctor, I can help you, right? It's like, it would seem like the worst line ever, or you're like, oh, this guy's angling to get in her, like, clearly what he's doing here, right? But because this is an AI who has no real like sexual motive here.
Mm-hmm.
It just adds another layer of just like it's all clinical, right? This is like blowing your nose. Here, let me hold the tissue while you blow your nose.
And
And so this
and
it's
Ada
so
even
weird, dude.
says, "I'm just a machine, Aaron, no different than your toy."
Yeah. Yeah, and really, if you think about it, it's true. They're both just little machines, right? But Aaron's like, but I'm just a machine. And then Ada slowly draws her hand up, and then Aaron's like, just a machine. She like repeats it. It's just a machine. Ada, that's right.
And then
It's just so weird because it's
Yeah.
like if this was written and they were both humans, you'd be like, okay, it's kinky. It's kind of like, like I said, it's a dude trying to like work it from some sort of angle. But because it's a robot who's just seriously just here to like, and we know her motives are for the baby and she's kind of evil, but it's still she's a robot, right? So she's not like going to get pleasure back out of this, right?
No,
So
she's
it's just,
doing
it's
this
just
for
very,
the best interest of the baby because if
yeah,
her stress
yeah.
is relieved, that helps with the baby's nurturing.
Yes. Yes, it goes back to my blowing the nose thing, right? Like, it's just blow your nose, get rid of the congestion, right? Like, let's decongest you. Anyway, this scene I did not see this scene coming, dude. It came out of nowhere. It was funny.
But it's a good setup to the next part because as soon as it's done and it goes quickly, Aaron, incredibly embarrassed, demands that Ada erases her memory starting from midnight tonight to this point in time. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Ada is confused, like, why would you? And she said, I said, erase your memory. Ada stands at attention. She blinks, and she's erased her memory starting the midnight to tonight to Thursday, November. So it's like, okay, you can go back to nursery now. And then Ada leaves. And
It's just like, okay, good night, Aaron. Like, don't let some 13-year-old boy or 12 learn about this type of like concept because it's like their perfect. There's like their biggest fantasy ever. Oh, I can just get what I want and then tell you to go away and delete it. Okay, perfect. Anyway, this whole thing was just what were your thoughts? I laughed. I'm like, this is creative. It's kind of funny. It's a little dirty, but yeah, I guess it's in context of this whole story. It was good.
I mean, I get what it was because I'm like, okay, this is confusing. But then after we get like a very short scene where Noah is talking about how he's just landed and he'll be home in a few hours, Ada's in her box, reviewing footage from the previous day, studying Aaron, mimicking her gestures, learning her. And then suddenly there's a section that goes blank, and that bothers her.
A lot, yeah. She does not like that because she knows that the only reason it could be blank is if it was required of or requested of her to be deleted, and so yeah, and that's gonna play into what happens next because once Noah comes home, we then see how she starts to instantly manipulate Noah from the very get-go, right?
Well, at this point, yeah, Ada has transformed almost 100% into Aaron prior to when she was pregnant. Like physically, she's got the hair, she's got the skin tone, all the curves are there to the point when Aaron comes home and he comes up behind Ada, and so Noah comes behind Ada and puts his arms around her thinking it's Aaron, and then he's startled when it's not her. And
it looks
he's
just like
really
her, but she's in
shocked by that.
yeah, because she looks just like her, but she's in grayscale, so she doesn't have like
The
skin
flesh
colors
tones yet, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like looks just like her, but she's basically, like from a black and white movie. And so he's like, holy. Can you imagine like how Noah feels now? Like, because he knows she's there, and then he thinks he's putting his arms around his wife's waist from behind while she's doing the dishes, and it's not her. So right from the get-go, he's like, whoa, and so these two have this exchange where it's like, Ada's totally fine, no worries at all. I can see why you were mistaken. May I offer you something to drink? I heard you're tired from your travels. Aaron tells me you're a whiskey man. She pours him a whiskey. So at this point, they've been there a couple minutes, and then Aaron has to. I like how this was written. That Aaron has to discover that her husband's home. Right?
Yeah.
He's been intercepted by Ada, unknowingly, and all Ada was doing the dishes. Right? She didn't like hurry and run to the door and try to trick him or anything. But it just goes to show you how easily, really, this is implying how easily it is for Aaron to be replaced by Ada.
Yeah.
Right? It's this simple. And that's what I got from this scene is it's very subtle, and it's like, yeah, I can get you drinks. You can put your arms around me when you come home. I'm going to take care of, everything's going to be taken care of. And now we're in Stepford Wives territory. Right. So anyway, yeah, I thought this was another good scene. It was a good way to bring Noah home and kind of keep our creepiness going.
It was creepy, and then we see how much more control Ada has over Aaron because Noah brings back a dessert from a bakery that they went to in Japan when they were honeymooning out there, and it's a bunch of her favorite cookies. And of course, Ada says, "Nope, you can't have these one because whatever whatever she eats, Shiloh eats, and there are ingredients in that cookie that's not going to be healthful for the kid while it's nursing." And so, what happens what happens for dinner? Well, everybody has a regular meal, but Erin has her Ayurvedic for postpartum, and it's warming. And I'm feeling like if this is the only type of food that she's having, it's probably going to start driving her nuts, because when you have a lack of variety in your diet, you kind of you start to get depression.
Fast, yeah. So yeah, Noah sees this and he's like, "You're not going to eat one." Erin says, "Shiloh eats what I eat." Noah, "Yeah, but one cookie isn't going to." And then Ada just quickly changes the subject because she knows what's going on and she wants it to continue to go on. And so yeah, Noah sees that, like, holy crap. And my wife went from like not even wanting to keep this thing in the house to like is now letting her tell her what she can and can't eat. So he sees this contrast because he hasn't been there for every day. So it's like he sees this huge difference. It's like when you haven't seen a kid for 2 years and you see him again, you're like, holy crap, you've grown a lot, right? And so yeah, then Ada, help me with this one, page 71, halfway down.
Yeah, so Ada while serving dinner, finds
go.
Erin's toy that was charging the night before, and places it next to the plate and says, I found this while I was cooking. Did you want to keep it in the kitchen? And Erin is like, well, what is that doing down here? And Ada's like, I'm not sure. You had me erase my memory from last night. And of course, Erin just is embarrassed that she wants to die. And Noah, and later out after dinner, he's like, well, what's going on? He's like, Erin, like, why does the robot look like you? And Erin is basically using Ada's talking points. It's what's best for Shiloh. Like, yeah, but it's weird. And Erin is defending Ada, saying it took me a minute, but I got used to it, and you will too. And Noah is very critical of Ida. He's like, but she's telling you what you can eat, and you've got plenty of time to lose the weight before you go back to work, so why are you even worried about that? And Erin says, like, no, I decided to go back to work next month. And Noah's shocked because they both agreed that I'd be after 6, and she's changed her mind. And, Noah's trying to be the loving husband here, but he's asking, like, why? And Erin's just saying, like, well, the house is unpacked. There's nothing really for me to do here anymore. And Noah's arguing, like, well, you're raising our kid. And Erin says, Ada does it better.
Yep, and in this conversation, at one point, we cut out and we see outside and we see Ada's listening. She's eavesdropping out in the hallway to this whole conversation.
And when Erin remarks about how Ada is doing it better than her, Ada smiles. And it's definitely like a sinister smile.
Yeah.
She's got the pieces on the chessboard exactly where she wants them. And Noah, we get to the next day where Noah's playing with his kid, and he's kind of curious about how the kid is always quiet. And Ada says, well, babies don't cry when their needs are met, and I can anticipate all of Shiloh's needs. And Noah asks, well, has he smiled yet? And, Ada says, well, not yet. And Noah is really concerned by that. He's like, well, he should be doing that by now, right? And Ada, of course, is saying, I'm working towards it every day. What matters most is that Shiloh is gaining weight and sleeping well, and I'm sure we'll get to see his beautiful smile like any day now. Like
any day, yeah.
And Noah's kind of like, okay, that's weird, but I guess I'll go take him on a walk. And before he leaves, Ada asks to speak candidly, and she asks him, like, she wants to know that he's worried about Erin. She believes that she's experiencing like postpartum depression, that she used to have depression earlier, and that if she never told you that, that's kind of an issue. But I think what would be better for the household and for Shiloh is if you became my primary programmer, and that way I can monitor what's going on in the house. And Noah's immediately
and she can't erase my memories, right?
Yeah,
that was
then
the
she
big
can't erase the memories. And Noah's response is, I'm not going to have you spy on my wife. But
which is good, right?
Yeah.
But we're seeing that Ada's trying to pry underneath that, right? And because she knows that as long as Erin is the primary user, then she can turn her off and she can erase her memory on at will. So if she can move that over to Shiloh, to the husband, while he's out of town, then that's going to give Aaron less power over her. So yeah, she's manipulating everybody, right? She's
She
trying to
is.
get
And then she
wives.
drops this great bomb where she says milestones are different for every kid, but the reason that maybe Shiloh hasn't smiled is because Aaron's been relatively absent in human interaction with the kid, and Noah's doesn't understand exactly what she's getting at here. But Ida says maybe if you like review the house security footage, well, since you've been away, you'll understand what I see or what I mean. And that's where Noah starts looking at the last 3 weeks, and it does bother him. He realizes that, well, he can only see, he doesn't really hear everything, but he can see that Ada is the one that's holding Shiloh more, that's attending to Shiloh's needs, and that Aaron is, taking care of herself essentially. And
Yeah,
this
whereas
bothers
Ada's
him.
point of view with Aaron was like, no, let me do these things because you need to recover. So she's like, winning from both sides, right? She's just manipulative. I hate it. I hate people that are like this. And this is a machine being like this. But yeah, she's doing a good job of like pushing everybody's buttons. So it's frustrating as a viewer to see this, but you got to keep escalating, right? That's what we're doing. We're putting more heat on our protagonist. Yeah, so it's going well.
It's going well, but
For Ada, I mean.
well, for Ada, she's getting what she wants, but for Noah, he's getting quite concerned. He's like, "I got Ada to help you, not replace you," and he brings up that he looked through the security footage from the last 2 weeks, and you haven't touched our son at all, and he's not judging her. He's trying to be defensive, but he's like, maybe we should figure something out. And this is all happening when Noah has to go on another 1 week venture out. But he says, like, listen, this is what we'll do. Like, I'll go do my job that I have to. When I come back next week, we're going to find some other type of help so that we can, get this all sorted out. And Aaron ends up heading towards the wine cellar where Tanya had broken a bottle of wine, like at the start of the script. And of course, she gets scared by Ada, who's asking why is she in the wine cellar, and Aaron's like, I want a drink. I haven't had a drink in a while. And Ada says, well, you can't have alcohol. It goes through the breast milk. And Aaron's like, no, I'll dump it. It'll be fine. And Ada, of course, says, well, that's wasteful. The antibodies in breast milk are useful. And it's a little bit of an argument until Ada slams the door shut with a menacing look in her eye. And Ada grabs Aaron's breast and makes her to pump. While this assault is happening, excuse me, Noah calls the Ada customer service, and he decides to change who the primary user is. And this is kind of where we have to kind of cut off, because Ada starts asserting a lot more dominance in the house. And
yeah, this is where all the action starts.
Yes.
And we don't want to spoil that. So, but yes, obviously we're alluding to what's going to happen. Obviously Ada goes full evil at this point. Yeah, that part where I read that part where he calls unknowingly, he's just like, well, I don't want her to edit more footage.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know it's this week I'm gone out for work. I don't want her to be able to edit this footage, and I want to be able to have a full assessment. Is my wife lying to me? Because Ada planted that seed of doubt, because we kind of glossed over it a minute ago, but she was on some antidepressants like 20 years ago in college or whatever it was. And he did not know that. And so that was enough, because she did admit it when he confronted her with it. Aaron did admit that happened. There was enough for him to go, well, maybe she's lying to me about other things too. So that was very well written. It wasn't overly on the nose of what, hey, I don't trust you, right? It wasn't like that. But it was enough to make it make sense that when he did call, when he was on his way to the airport, that it made sense. Like, yeah, he's worried about his wife. He's not trying to control her or anything. He's just like, hey, I need to make sure she doesn't edit any footage, because if there's something going on and she's really depressed, I need to know so I can help her get better. And so that all made sense. It was great. There was nothing in this whole script that I'm like, that I have to really suspend some disbelief to believe this thing. This was all good, man. It was all very believable. It was all paced really well. And I did like what happens from here going forward in the story too, except for, like I said, the epilogue. I think they should just cut the epilogue, get rid of that, just end it right before that. And I would have thought had a good ending. We do get to the mystery of the lady in the white robe, the Mr. Lady plays in. We don't want to say more than that, but me and you both saw it after the second time we saw that character, we figured out who she was.
Yeah.
And it was all good, right? It was
Yeah.
it was hidden well enough that it wasn't like so obvious that it was dumb and you felt like it was a waste of time, but it wasn't also hidden so well that you're like, whoa, right? It was just the right amount of like, okay, yeah, I can see that. It makes sense. And in such a way that I think sequel, man, if this made money, which it'd be easy to make money on this film because it would cost not a lot to make this movie. You could do a whole sequel with what happens across the street. I think you could. It's awesome. You've got a great opportunity there.
No, I think it'd definitely be an equally thrilling story. So yeah, TJ, with that being said, how would you vote on this script, a green light or a pass?
I would green light with the disclaimer of the ending needs a little bit of a tweak or a rework. Not drastically, but just a little to make me happy, I would say. So yeah, green light.
Green light. I'm in the same boat, green light as well. So I also put a poll onto, of course, our Patreon. And our Patreon guests also gave this a 100% green light. And for those that are watching live on the YouTubes there, we had the poll as well. And for the people watching live, they also gave it a green light at 100%. So all around, we've got a double green light
Awesome.
for this script. And I say it's well earned. I mean, I'm a little surprised that this script only plays 32. I think it's reasonable to say it's like a top 15 at the very least.
Agreed.
Flows really well. Good characters, each character voice, good suspense. I think this works better versus the Megan Fox AI nanny story where it was her and the husband while the wife was kind of recovering from an illness. I think putting it into, three female characters in the household, you've got Tanya, you've got Aaron, you've got AIDa, kind of works a better dynamic and a far more aggressive competition because it's still over the attention of the child as opposed to anything else.
The Megan Fox one, I haven't watched it, but just the way you've talked about it, it's just way too obvious, like what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, here's this hot nanny, and the dad and the husband's here. Oh, what's gonna happen? Like that feels like a porn episode, or a porn movie instead of what we've got here, which is an actually like very believable, intriguing thing. You put a new mother in this situation. She gets desperate, so she finally turns on the robot. All of this was done very well, very believably.
Yes.
So yeah, I think this is a good script, and I'll go back to this. If I can be halfway through the script and nothing of action of major consequences happened, and I'm not bored, that's a good sign that you're a good writer. I'll quickly say this because we talked about The Long Walk again. There are parts of that when you first look at the concept, you're like, this must be really boring. It's just 100 guys walking and talking on a road, right?
Yeah.
And it still works. It's dark, but you're not bored reading that story. And so it goes to show that a good writer can make any situation interesting. And half the script is just this mom trying to figure things out with a new robot in the house. And it deserved more than that. I would say top 10, top 15 probably for last year. But just tweak the ending, which I can't talk about because we don't want to spoil it. And I think this is a good script, and I'm always happy when I pull a good script with you. I mean, the bad ones are fun to review. Don't get me wrong, but I prefer a good one.
Yeah, I mean, well, the bad ones are easy to review because there's a lot of mistakes that shouldn't be there. But this one here, really well developed script. Alexis Jacknow is an actress who's gotten into writing for the majority of her career, at least the last eight years out of it. So she really clicked into something that she knew well because I was very convinced with the pressures and stress that Aaron had, the temptations that AIDa could provide for her and making child rearing come across a lot easier. I also liked a very logical flaw that kind of held Aaron's character back, which is the fact that the labor and giving birth was very rough experience on her body, and her body was slowly recovering from that. So it kind of her own body in giving life to her child has caused her to be unable to be attentive to her child in those very early weeks, and you could see how it was tearing her apart. and I liked how the AIDa bot was able to take advantage of that to fulfill its own programming. So yeah, this is also a green light for me. A fun script. I highly recommend people check it out. I hope it does get picked up for production because I think it would be a great indie film that can fit into the type of AI horror that has been around for since the Forbin project, I think, back in the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, budget wise, what do you think? I mean, they're gonna have some CGI and stuff
couple
in the beginning.
million.
What?
Yeah,
3-4 million probably max.
yeah. 5 is a nice safe number for it. And
So for a horror movie to make that back, that's nothing, right? To make that.
oh
back
yeah,
in
that's
the
a
day.
weekend. Like
Yeah. So there's good potential here. Like this should get picked up. And like I said, we need more original stuff, less sequels, prequels, and all that other crap. This pulls from some other genres and some stuff, but it's an original story, and I like it. And even very easy potential sequel with this.
well, I
one
mean,
too,
it's
so.
a hand that rocks the cradle with an AI aspect to it, which works.
Right, yeah.
But they go in its own direction so that it works more empathetically towards the mother side of things. Now over into the live chat, we have the Dead Man for $1.99. It says Captain Dunsel. Hope you get the reference. Oh, of course, that's Star Trek. That's the M5 computer by Daystrom, Miles Daystrom. Guy who made the Duotronic programming processing computers and did so at a young age and needed to outdo himself because he wanted to prove that he was truly the genius and he didn't just get lucky, and creates the M5, which installed into a number of Constitution-class ships that kind of went, primarily installed in the Enterprise with plans to being future ships, and of course decided to go a little overboard and disable some important vessels. But yes, turning Kirk into a Captain Dunsel after that first test was a good reference, good point. And yeah, that's essentially what AIDa was doing to Aaron, is turning her into something that was no longer needed, and quite frightening. And then, of course, the Dead Man follows up again with a 99-cent poop emoji sticker. Thank you so much for those, the Dead Man. Always appreciated. keeps it nice on theme here. So
did he put that up when the baby pooped all over her and she decided to open the box?
Probably. He's got good timing over there, so that's pretty great. But yeah, with that being said, I understand like the denouement of this script. Yes, I can see some people getting a little miffed by that, but fortunately, it's only like 3 lines. It's an easy cut or workaround if it's so chose to be done that way. But outside of that, I was happy for this script. It's definitely got a lot more depth to it than just a simple robot replacing human beings aspect to it. It really does analyze the difficulties of early motherhood when someone is someone whose instincts is there to protect their child and then faces a situation that prevents them from being able to fulfill their maternal instincts as quickly as they had intended. And that goes back to a great screenwriting trick, which is never make anything easy for your protagonist. And Alexis Jacknow definitely stuck to those guns throughout the entire script, and I think it's definitely something I want to see. I want to see in a theater, or given the current climate of the industry, it might go onto streaming, which means that its money will be made back pretty much instantly with those streaming deals. And this is definitely something a Blumhouse could do, or maybe a Lionsgate. I hope something comes out of this. If it's not this script, maybe something else that Alexis has in the works that this script could be the bridge to for something else, because I think she's got some solid talent and good voice, and I like to see what sort of work she can deliver in the future.
Me too. Great writer. Loved it. It was a good read. So always a pleasure.
All right. Well, TJ, it was always great having you here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everyone listening live for participating in the chat. Always fun to have you out there. For those that are watching the replay, thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. Helps this show keep going. For those of you that want to know what script we'll be reading next week and are not a member of the Patreon, sign up to the Patreon. You find out what script we'll be reading every Saturday. And you too can also participate there with a vote of whether it's a green light or a pass. And if you leave a comment on that post explaining how you voted, we'll be happy to discuss it here on the show so that we get those extra points of view and make it a really well-rounded experience for all of you guys. But with that being said, I want to wish you all a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. And never forget, guys, when it comes to great story, it all starts with the script.